tomorrow and Sunday, man. The beginning of football season. It's gonna be a lot of fun, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun this weekend, man. Football season is officially back. Welcome. What is good, folks? It's your boy Sports PSP. Welcome to another episode of the Sports PSP podcast. Hope everyone is enjoying a fantastic Friday. Hope everyone had a wonderful day coming off from work or whatever, enjoying the rest of the weekend. I got my guys, BRF Sports. How you doing, brother?
Doing better, coming along pretty good. Like basically, as I say, I've missed the last couple of days trying to, kind of fighting some allergies right now. But I was able to do Undisputed podcast last night with Champ and Flash. So best believe I'm gonna show the same love and respect and hop on here with you tonight, PSP. So I'm braving elements, but the best. This is what the best do. So we finna roll.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure having you on the show. And of course, undisputed world champ. Great episode last night on Champ's podcast. Please make sure you like and subscribe to his podcast, doing wonderful things. And of course, with TikTok, man, he's the highlight reel when it comes to TikTok. How you doing, brother?
I feel good, man. Hell, I call you the highlight of Friday nights, man. This is the highlight of every Friday night. You up to 15,000 now, ain't you, man?
Yes.
Yes, indeed, man. This is a celebration, man. Hell of a job, man. Congratulations, man. I will be remiss if I did not congratulate you on the air. Because the thing is, in the great words of someone famous, you built this brick by brick, man. And as a brother, I couldn't be more proud of you, man. So shout out to PSP. Look, always a privilege and a pleasure, and congratulations for all the great things that you're doing in the sports world, man.
Appreciate it, man.
And quick, well, I'm watching the Packers-Eagles game. Quick update: we finally got a touchdown. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, pretty running back option for a touchdown out the backfield. That was nice.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Basic, basic little wheel right out the end zone, basic wheel right out the backfield. So nothing simple, nothing basic. But I mean, when you got Saquon Barkley. Shit, that's all you got to say.
And of course, we got one of our good friends on the pod, Harrison, who's a diehard Duke Blue Devils fan with a college basketball, football, and of course, a diehard Carolina Panthers fan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, bro. Just turned 21 yesterday. The big 2-1.
Happy birthday.
Finally made it. I can finally start drinking. I didn't get drunk, by the way. Didn't get drunk. But God is good. God is good, ladies and gentlemen. God is good.
All the time.
You 21. You 21. You got options now. He got options now.
Yes, sir.
Please make sure you're drinking, Harrison. Please make sure you're drinking responsibly. Okay, we want to make sure. Yes, absolutely. But fellas, let's talk about football. The moment all of us we've been waiting for the past 7 months. Football season is back. What were your thoughts on last night's game between the Baltimore Ravens versus Kansas City Chiefs game? Very tough, very competitive game. Of course, Isaiah Likely, man, he played well. I mean, the controversial call, it was later not a touchdown, but in this game, man, what it shows me, I got to give credit to Kansas City's defense. Still, even without L'Jarius Sneed and without Willie Gay, they can still go out there and still be that good. Patrick Mahomes made that bad mistake with the interception, but I love what I'm seeing from Pacheco. Xavier Worthy, he will definitely be in the conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, Champ was talking in the group chat. He is fast as hell. He was explosive. I mean, that touchdown he had in the first quarter. I mean, Andy Reid. And anytime when you give a guy like Andy Reid these types of gadgets, he's going to capitalize off of it. And we all know what a brilliant offensive mind Andy Reid is. As far as with Lamar, I thought Lamar played okay. I thought Lamar played solid. I mean, he said he lost some weight over the offseason to improve his speed and stuff. I think he is still going to be fantastic. He did miss that throw to Zay Flowers in the end zone. I don't know what happened. in that one. I heard he was trying to get it to Rashad Bateman. But this is going to be a very competitive season. I still think Kansas City is still going to be the team to come out of the AFC. Baltimore, I don't know what you can do. It's still week 1. It's the beginning of the season. I still think their defense hanged in pretty well, but unfortunately they couldn't get the job done. So BRF, I'm gonna let you go first. What were your thoughts on last night's game?
Man, you can't, as competitive as that game was last night, you can't think of a better way to kick off a regular season than with a game being that competitive. All right, from the Ravens fans out there, to everybody that follows the Baltimore Ravens fans, I want you to repeat this message and give it to the Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator. I want you to just tell him this from me. You are not winning if Lamar Jackson is throwing the ball 41 times. No, that's not how your offense is best suited for want to play football. Why is Derrick Henry should have got the ball at least 20 times out the gate. That offense is predicated on running and play action and bootlegs and misdirections and confusion and just everything imaginable. Lamar Jackson does not need to be throwing the ball 41 times. Granted, he was 26 of 41, 271, I believe, 63% completion percentage. He did well. But that offense is not predicated on throwing the ball 41 times. That offense is predicated on running the ball 25 to 35 times, balanced attack. You got Justice Hill. You got Derrick Henry now. Lamar Jackson, that should be a 3-headed monster as far as running the ball. You're not gonna win a lot of games like that with that offense if you're throwing 41 times. So we need to scale the passing game down a little bit and make sure you put the focus where it needs to be, and that's running the ball with Derrick Henry and Justice Hill to take pressure off of Lamar Jackson having to run the ball, set up your play action. Because we can't make the excuse that the Baltimore Ravens don't have weapons anymore. They just need to they need to catch these passes. But we can't say they don't have weapons anymore. We can't say that anymore. They have Zay Flowers. They have Rashad Bateman. I mean, they still got Mark Andrews, and Isaiah Likely is growing into a budding star before our very eyes with some of the plays that he's capable of making. So just that's from the Baltimore side of it. They don't need to be throwing the ball 40 times a week with Lamar Jackson. They need to scale it down to about, I don't know, 30 to 35 is acceptable, but not in the 40s. Once you start hitting the 40s, you get a little excessive because you're becoming one-dimensional and your running game is not being effective and utilized the way it needs to be utilized. From the Kansas City side of things, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, that wasn't his best game. That wasn't his best game at all. But I tell you one thing though, that Xavier Worthy. I think some people felt like he was going to be another one of these dudes that had the ridiculous combine and then not do so much in the league, which we've seen that all the time. But I think what separates him, if you go back and watch his Texas tape, he's a really good football player. He's more than just speed. He can run routes. He's got good hands. He's actually a pretty tough cat at wide receiver. So he's a good football player. So the fact he failed to, I said this last night on Champ's podcast, the fact that he Andy Reid is basically a death sentence for the rest of the AFC, because you just gave Andy Reid another ridiculous weapon to be able to just unleash on the rest of that conference. And then Rashee Rice had a good game last night. And then Hollywood Brown is injured. You're gonna get him back. You still got Travis Kelce. You got Noah Gray, who they utilized last night, who had a decent game himself as the number 2 tight end. There's too many weapons on the Kansas City side, and that defense. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Chris Jones is just as big a part of this Kansas City dynasty. He needs to be talked about more with this Kansas City dynasty, like we do with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Because I feel like with all great dynasties, of course you got your offensive piece, but you need that defensive piece that you've built around, for the longevity, for the consistency, and that's Chris Jones. Chris man, as long as you got Chris Jones in that defensive line, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna do just fine. And like we were talking about hot takes last night. I think Patrick Mahomes is gonna break the single season yardage record this year. I do.
You think he's gonna break Peyton Manning's record for the most passing yards by season?
I really do. This man's got weapons galore. He's got a bunch of speed. He's got guys that can catch the ball up the middle. He's got receivers he can't overthrow. He's got receivers. None of his top 3 receivers, especially when Hollywood Brown gets back, he's got 3 receivers he can't overthrow. And I think, it was crazy enough he had Tyreek Hill. He's got 3 guys he can't overthrow now. And I think that's what's going to make this offense even more deadly, because then you got Isaiah Pacheco back there, the hardest runner in the National Football League, in my opinion. And when he gets going, that sets up play action. So if you're having to deal with him, and then those 3 receivers, once they're all healthy, it's like, what can you do with all this? I think Patrick Mahomes, he's going to break the single season yardage record. I really do. But last night was just you can't ask for a better game to start off. That was a really well played. That was a really good football game last night.
It was, though. And by the way, Rashee Rice played well, to your point, considering now again he still has that thing with all the off the field issues. I'm surprised that he played and still played that well and effective. And also too, man, Steve Spagnuolo, got to give him a lot of love and credit. The defensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs. He's done a terrific job since he took over, I believe, for Bob Sutton after 2018. But Kansas City, and also with Baltimore, man, I felt like they gave up too many penalties. Like too many penalties, like with the illegal formations and stuff like that. That's what kind of cost them, because when you commit those types of penalties, it's going to eventually cost you. But we got another member on the show, my boy Grant. Go check him out. You can see him on Brandon from the Blocks podcast, and you can see him from various other podcasts, man. Does a great job with his football, basketball, and soccer, man. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. It's been a nice short week because of Labor Day. Congrats on 15K. PSP, this one's for you, my brother. You're putting in hard work every day, and it's good to see that. It's good to see that success coming through. And shout out to Champ BRF at Harrison. Good to see you boys tonight.
Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, Grant.
And shout out to your Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They had a really
we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But Grant, I'll let you go. What were your thoughts on last night's game between the Ravens and Chiefs? Yeah, I mean, I think BRF said it. That's probably if you wanted to have the best way to start the season, that's kind of it. My takes on it is this, really. First of all, with the Ravens, as the biggest Lamar Jackson fan here, I will say this now. That dude is a running back. That man had 100 plus yards on the ground and was literally running all through that Kansas City defense. Had 122 yards and 60 carries. He played solid, and all the Ravens fans are going to say, oh, man, if Isaiah Likely didn't have a shorter foot, they would have won. I think they lost the game when Lamar overthrew. I think it was Isaiah. He overthrew Isaiah Likely on that. I think I was trying to remember a go route right under the end zone. I think that's kind of where the game happened, because even if Isaiah was a foot down, there was no way he was getting in with a pass like that. I think it's too close. But yeah, I'm going to kill the Bills too, because the Bills let the Chiefs get the fastest man in the draft. If you want to talk about a way to start off a debut for Xavier Worthy, 2 touchdowns in his first game. I can't think of a better way to start off your career with that. And that just proves what I've been saying. I've been watching this kid since high school. He's a dog. He's an unbelievable player. And if he's open and he has a room, he's going to be gone before you can catch him. And I think that kind of proved it tonight. I think, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. 291 passing yards and a touchdown, and he played a great game. That Chiefs team looks like they're on all cylinders, like they're not, and I wouldn't say that's even really surprising just for what we've seen. And honestly, like I said, I think Patrick, if this team is playing like this now, I'm not surprised that they might three-peat. And I've said this before, if this team three-peats this year, we're going to have to start having that conversation about Patrick Mahomes as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And I think this game kind of showed it. As for the Ravens, all I'll honestly say is this. If Lamar Jackson is throwing the ball, y'all winning that AFC, because I think as my prediction for this year was the AFC Championship was going to be the Ravens and Chiefs again. And I feel like the biggest issue with it is I feel like during that game, Lamar mostly kept the Ravens alive with the run game. And I shout out to Isaiah Likely too, because he balled out too, playing from the tight end position. You know, overall with this game, it was an incredible game. You know, Ravens got unlucky. You can't really do anything about that. You know, it was close, but it was a crazy game and a great way to start the season. And, you know, as for the Ravens, you know, they still got a long way to go. It's only week 1, so I'm not going to eat them up alive. But it was still, for me, it still feels like it was a good start to the season to show that the Ravens still, even with the addition of Derrick Henry in that backfield, it still looks like that they're still a solid team. And, you know, I think this is going to be a great season, and I'm excited that we got to start it off with such a good game.
Harrison?
Yeah, that kind of tops the cake for me. I think this game came by inches, like literally by inches. I think what you say, PSP, I think Lamar I say he played fine, but like I don't think he didn't play like spectacular. But like again,
I thought he played solid. I thought he played like solid. I mean,
yeah, I think he played
very
good
effective
too.
in the running game.
I don't think he didn't play terrible.
Right.
But Mark Andrews, where was Mark Andrews on that field? Champ, I gotta ask you, where was Mark Andrews on that field?
I don't know.
Exactly. I don't know where the hell Mark Andrews was either way. But I think Mahomes, you can't doubt that man. And like I said it when the Super Bowl. Never doubt Mahomes ever. Doesn't matter if it's regular season, doesn't matter if it's the playoffs, doesn't matter if it's a Super Bowl, doesn't matter if it's a preseason game. You can't doubt that guy. Listen, do I want the Ravens win another Super Bowl? Hell no. But like at the end of the day, I say it again. You can't doubt Patrick Mahomes. That's all I'm gonna say. Can't doubt that man. But like what you say about Xavier Worthy, yes, that guy is going to be special in the next 2 to 3 years. I'm just gonna say this right now. Xavier Worthy is going to be special in the next 2 to 3 years. But I'm just gonna say this right now. If the Chiefs repeat, I'm not watching any more football after this for the next 5 years. But that's it. Never done Mahomes.
Oh man, you gonna hit rock bottom if they three?
I'm already hitting rock bottom this year, so.
Last but not least, saving the best for last. Champ, what were your thoughts on last night's game?
Hey man, first of all, Xavier Worthy. Wow. I mean, is that Xavier Worthy or Barry Allen, you know, or Bart Allen? I don't know the difference at this point. That's number one. Number two, I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are inside Lamar's head because people keep pointing out the pass that he overthrew. Remember some of those short passes he was missing on. Now, granted, look, people can say whatever they would like. He kept them in the game. I mean, that was about as close as you're gonna get. I mean, it was a great performance in my humble opinion. Almost 300 yards, almost 150 yards. If he doesn't lose, we're talking about it in a different light. You know, let's just keep it all the way 100. But I think that the Chiefs are definitely in Lamar's head at this point. And, you know, it's just like, man, I got to beat him. And he's trying to do too much at this point. Secondly, look, Todd Monkey, what are you doing? What are you doing? You just won 2 national championships by doing what? Oh, yeah, that's right. Running the ball. Have you forgotten? I mean, you came from the University of Georgia. What are we known for? Running the ball. What are you doing? Now, granted, people are going to say, you know, you're not going to win the ball with Lamar passing the ball. Yeah, not 42 times a game. You didn't bring in Derrick Henry to pass the ball close to 50 times a game. You brought him in so you can stabilize and take a little bit of pressure off Lamar Jackson. Am I right?
No, you were right. And again,
the thing is, oh, my bad, PSP.
No, go ahead. My fault.
And the thing is, look, Todd Monkey, you've been around great running backs, not just good running backs. You've been around Nick Chubb, Elijah Holyfield. You've been around all those great ones. You've been around all of them. Why are you getting to the pro level and going away from what you do best? You just won 2 back-to-back national championships and made the entire state of Georgia team dreams come true by winning national championships, by running the ball. Why are you not doing that now that you're at Baltimore? You essentially got 3 running backs. You got Justice, you got Derrick Henry, and you got the X factor in Lamar Jackson. Use them. In the great words of Bill Withers, you got to keep on using them until you use them up. Let's do that, man. Stop getting away from what you were known for in order to try to be like other teams. Baltimore is not you. I hate to say this. People are judging everybody on Patrick Mahomes. Guess what? There's a lot. It's a lot of unfairity to that. Everybody ain't Patrick Mahomes. Lamar, as talented as he is, not even he is Patrick Mahomes. You're not gonna out Patrick Mahomes. Get that out your head. You tried to do that last game in the AFC Championship. You tried to do it again this game. Dang, what's your learning curve? A flat line? I mean, I have to ask that question. What is your learning curve? You did the same thing last year. You only ran the ball 10 times. You come right back to the season opener, to the scene of the crime, and do it again. What is that about? Todd Monken, do what you do best. You won 2 national championships at the University of Georgia by running that ball. Guess what? As talented as Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers was, go back and look at their stats. They don't necessarily knock your socks off. If you look at that running game that we have, it's impeccable. So you have got to do what we do best. Run that ball, man. The cornerstone of the offenses that you ran at the University of Georgia was running the ball, not trying to outpass everybody. Stop trying to out Patrick Mahomes. And that ain't just a mistake that the Baltimore Ravens are making. That's a mistake that a lot of teams are making. They're trying to out. You trying to outdo that is kind of trying to outpunch Mike Tyson. You're not going to do it.
I mean, Buster Douglas did, but that's a different conversation.
Stick to your strengths. Stick to them, and everything else will fall into place. Guess what, man? Derrick Henry need to be getting more than 13 carries.
Thank you.
You need to be getting more than 13 carries. Hey, you got to feed him in order for him to go. You got to feed that monster. You have to feed him. And if he starts running out, and if that monster starts running out of food, eventually he's going to eat you. And what that means is he's not going to get in the yard, so he's going to look very much pedestrian at a certain point. So do what you do best, man. As far as, hey, man, look, hey, I'm just being real, man. Look, BRF, you said it last night that they might break that touchdown and that yards record. I mean, hell, they might throw for 6,000 yards the way he looked. Because I'm just being honest with you. It's going to be very, very interesting to see not only this team and how they do. I mean, I don't see that AFC team that can just reach up and touch them. I don't. I mean, on paper, and especially how they played last night. And like BRF said, and I hate to steal somebody's thunder, we ain't even seen them at full strength yet.
No, we have not. That's what's the scary part.
That's scary. Because we still missing Hollywood. We still missing Hollywood Brown.
Yeah. That's the caveat. And Kansas City, if you think one game like this, hell, they got a lot for the season. But for Baltimore, look, you bring in Derrick Henry to take some of the load off Lamar Jackson. To all y'all points, why didn't they do that? It was week 1, the season opener against the Kansas City Chiefs, team who you lost to an AFC Championship game. Wouldn't be the best opportunity for you to get revenge on the 2-time reigning defending Super Bowl champions who beat you at your home turf? And Champ, you and I, we picked Baltimore to win that one in the AFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, they decided to do dumb things, kind of like with Kyle Shanahan in the Super Bowl. You had a 10-point lead, not once, but twice in that Super Bowl when you against the 49ers. But you didn't do what you were supposed to do, run the football. Why is it that teams decide to go against their formula when they're going up against the Kansas City Chiefs? That I don't get it. It makes no sense to me.
The answer, honestly, is because they. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, my bad.
All I was going to say, to answer your question, they want to surprise them. The biggest thing I've said about the Chiefs is a lot of teams, they think that if they run the same strategy they use every time, it's going to completely fail. And they want to do these different plans and do these things. They want to surprise them. But if you think about it, there's no way you're going to surprise like a guy on the defensive side of the ball. As I went back and watched a bunch of film from the playoffs last year, especially, if you look at like half the schemes that these teams are running when they play the Chiefs, it's not normal schemes that they would use against other teams. Like stuff that I've seen that they would use, like normal defensive covers, like it's stuff that I see against, like if they're playing the Raiders, they use it, but when it's the Chiefs, it's different. Teams have to stop trying to think like, oh, we have to completely reroute our strategy to stop this team. Play the game like you normally played it, because when you do that, you confuse your whole team, and it allows the Chiefs to be able to you take that to their advantage. If there's one thing I've learned about Patrick Mahomes in his career, he is one of the greatest quarterbacks when it comes to being able to play in a different situation and being able to play in a different mindset. What I've seen from him is showing me that. And I'm not trying to discredit Baltimore, because I think Baltimore did what they could. But let's be honest, it's the best quarterback in the freaking league. Are you honestly going to be able to try to stop him? So, in my opinion, you have to play the game the way you normally would play it against any other team. Stop trying to change it around just because it's Patrick Mahomes. That's not going to work. We've seen it happen before, and teams have lost games. This man has won 2 Super Bowls, or he won his last Super Bowl, with freaking Kadarius Toney. And freaking Travis Kelce is probably the main guy he was throwing to. Say whatever you want. If you play the game the way you want to, Patrick Mahomes will have a mistake. He's not perfect. We're human. So if they play the game normally, they can win. It's just teams want to do this where they want to change their strategy to stop Patrick Mahomes, and it never works. And it drives me crazy. Apologies for butting in, but I wanted to get that point across.
Well, I got a question too. But like, so I was scrolling on TikTok like this morning, and then I saw a Chiefs fans saying this: Lamar Jackson would never going to win a Super Bowl. I want to ask you guys this question. Do you guys think in the next, let's just say the next 2 to 3 years, do you guys think that Lamar Jackson is never going to win a Super Bowl?
Is Josh Allen going to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I was going to say.
I mean, that's another good question.
I think this league belongs to Patrick Mahomes, man, because the thing is this. Just going to be real. I mean, this team right here is pretty much unstoppable, man. You got some of the greatest coaches we've ever seen. This is some of the greatest coaches we've seen since Mike Holmgren and Bill Walsh's coaching tree. Some of the best coaches you ever want to see. Steve Magnolia. And, and let's not forget Eric Bieniemy in the early stages of the dynasty. Let's not forget about him. So this is some of the best coaching we've ever seen. And to Grant's point, stick to your strengths. The best way to beat Patrick Mahomes is to not out Patrick Mahomes, is to do what Bill Parcells did with the Buffalo Bills back in the day. Keep his behind over there on that sideline. And you do that by doing what? Running the ball. And the thing is, what makes me kind of irritated with Baltimore, you have the pedigree in order to keep him on the sideline.
That's your formula. That's what you do best.
You got Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, and Justice Hill. And you got a spectacular defense. Guess what? Keep him on the sideline. Run that ball 40 times. Keep him on the sideline. Guess what? You don't have to try to look. Jimmy Johnson said it best. If I put a plank down on the ground right now, the only thing that you would do is you would walk right across there and you wouldn't think about it not one time. But if I put this on 2 ladders, you would be thinking about not falling. And I think that's what gets into people's heads as far as the team's heads when they think about Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I got to think about, what if Patrick Mahomes do this? I got to think about all of these scenarios. Versus if you just play your game, you can beat him. Hell, we saw Tom Brady beat him on the biggest stage. GOAT versus kid. We've seen him. He can be beat. We saw Joe Burrow beat him. He can be beat. But what happens is teams come out here and start trying to out Patrick Mahomes, and that is a mistake. But to your question, Harrison, look, the league goes through Patrick Mahomes. the league, not just the AFC. So we're gonna see a lot of look. I'm gonna just be real. I'm gonna keep it I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 with you. We finna see a lot of ringless quarterbacks in the next 10 years. I'm gonna just be real. We finna see a lot of Patrick Mahomes is about to be the Michael Jordan of the league. He gonna be the Michael Jordan on the league because ain't nobody. I don't see nobody really eating on his watch as long. I will say this: as long as Andy Reid is the coach for that team. Now, if he leaves, that's a whole nother matter. But as long as him and Andy Reid can stay together, I don't see nobody eating on his watch. I don't see it.
Well, champ, I mean, that one quote that I always got stuck in my head. To be the best, you got to beat the best. And we've seen that once.
You got to be the man. Beat the man, Ric Flair.
Yeah. So, I mean,
you been watching some wrestling, Harrison?
No, I mean that's the one quote. I remember Ric Flair was on game day in 2016. I think it was against Wisconsin, against Ohio State. That's when they had Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, they also had T.J. Watt over there too at the University of Wisconsin. So I know Ric Flair. I like Ric Flair. I mean, I like his person.
And he's from North Carolina.
Yes, sir. And also, I mean, to be the best, you got to beat the best. And we seen that once. It was Joe Burrow, and he was a healthy Joe Burrow with a bad offensive line. I mean, are we going to see – can we see – well, I'm not trying to be off topic or anything, but, like, can we see, like, a healthy Joe Burrow can beat Mahomes?
That's the thing that's concerning to me, Harrison.
That's why I'm concerned. Listen.
Because I'm afraid that Joe Burrow, he may end up becoming the next Andrew Luck.
Oh, my God.
And that's something that we don't want.
PSP, that's I'm concerned as well. I think that I'm concerned about Rodgers. I'm concerned about Burrow. I'm concerned about some of these quarterbacks, and also some of these running backs as well. Christian McCaffrey, we don't know if he's going to stay healthy because he's been hurt recently with an ankle and / a calf injury in practice. But I don't know, bro. But like to be the best, you got to beat the best. But Joe Burrow did it once. But the question is for this season and also in the playoffs, can he do it again?
Well, you never know. Anything could be possible. Although Champ got a lot of flack on IG when he said, I would like to see Patrick Mahomes pass the torch to CJ Stroud. Anything is possible. So even though with Patrick Mahomes, look, the thing is, to everyone's point, play to your strength. Stop trying to do something. Stop trying to be something that you're not. Because if you do that, it's going to end up costing you. And we constantly talk about Patrick Mahomes as far as the GOAT. Don't sleep on Big Red, Andy Reid. We keep talking about Patrick Mahomes becoming the greatest quarterback of all time. Don't be surprised Andy Reid being in the conversation with greatest head coach of all time. And I've had this conversation with Champ. Champ, you know, you have Belichick as the greatest of all time. I don't have a problem with that. But if he three-peats, and the thing is with Belichick, unlike Andy Reid, Belichick hasn't evolved or gotten ahead with the times. And the thing with Andy, he's gotten ahead with the times. He doesn't have to speak to players in a certain way. He can, like the way Belichick does, because we've seen with Belichick now. We've seen the coaching tree. How are the coaches there? How have they worked out? And you look at Andy Reid's coaching tree, all their coaches are a lot better. I mean, you look at what you have, John Harbaugh, Ron Rivera even took the Carolina Panthers to the Super Bowl. You've had a lot of head coaches who've come from Andy Reid's coaching tree that have done well. And I think with Andy, man, if he three-peats and if he continues, Andy Reid ain't going nowhere. No, I think Andy Reid has a conversation as far as being the greatest head coach of all time. And considering how brilliant he is in offensive mind, we talk about how brilliant Belichick is as a defensive mind. Andy Reid, offensive mind. And you've seen what he's done with quarterbacks. Look at Donovan McNabb. Got booed on draft day. Say what you want about Donovan McNabb. 5 NFC championship appearances. He's been to a Super Bowl. Donovan has a conversation to at least be in the Hall of Fame. One of the worst games I ever had to witness as a Washington fan. Mike Vick. The Monday Night Football game when he torched the Washington team. The first pass on the play, play action when he threw it to Deshaun Jackson, and throughout that game, man, look, it was horrible. Don't get me started. Andy Reid, and we saw what he did with Alex Smith. Mm-hmm. So Andy Reid, man, ain't going nowhere. So I think with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, man, I think for Patrick Mahomes to be considered the GOAT, just like with Brady, who's going to be better without the other? Is it Patrick or is it Andy? Because people wanted to see how Brady and Belichick was going to be without the other, and Brady has proven that he can go elsewhere and win. So we'll wait and see. Only time will tell with the GOAT conversation. But folks, let's get into some college football. Grant, you go first. Notre Dame beating Texas A&M. You were 3-point underdogs in that game, I think. You pulled off a very impressive win. Prior to that game, isn't Marcus Freeman 7-5 against top 25 teams?
I believe it's 7-4, but you might be right.
Yeah, 7-4, 7-5.
7-4.
But very impressive win, even though there were a lot of penalties in that game. I am kind of concerned, though, that it was kind of close, but a win is a win. I thought the defense played very well. They put a lot of pressure on the Texas A&M quarterback with the couple of interceptions that he threw. I thought Riley Leonard actually looked pretty good. He would have had a second touchdown in that. He would have had a touchdown, except the running back who was trying to go upheld, who was trying to run straight. I thought he should have anticipated on that back shoulder throw. That would have easily been like a touchdown to end off the first half. But with Notre Dame, man, and you got to be pleased with what you're seeing with your head coach and Marcus Freeman. He's done a very good job since he replaced Brian Kelly. And Brian Kelly, obviously,
I got words for him, but we can get into that later.
Actually, you got word.
Let me talk about the A&M game first. Firstly, I'll just talk about the A&M game first. When I talk about like their thing, I think this is my biggest thing. When we talk about in football, like statement wins or like wins that solidify like I see the future of this program in Marcus Freeman. The biggest thing from Notre Dame fans was after that first season when we lost to Ohio State and then we lost to Marshall. Everyone didn't know if he was ready. Then he went next season. He barely lost to Ohio State. And then he kind of sold the end of the season. We still won a bowl game. I'm looking at this game, and this was the game that I was worried about the most because, again, I've said this before. I've been to Kyle Field. That place is loud. When I'm talking loud, like 107,000 people screaming, and that defense, which in my opinion is one of the best top 5 defenses in the country. You got to give credit to Howard Cross III. That man made an amazing play, and also Jalen Sneed. Those two guys, in my opinion, were the reason we won that game. As for Riley Leonard, look. He could have been better. This was a defensive game. I think he could have done better, but I think defense deserves the round of applause because they had that big stop on 4th down, and they had those 2 picks in the first half that really settled the game in for us. And I think that's what we needed in this environment. Because once Texas A&M scored right at the end of the 4th quarter, I was worried that we were going to lay an egg and do what we normally do and sell because of how great this environment is. But my shout outs also need to go to Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Those guys have been for years trying to get into this starting team. And I said, once they get a starting role and they can officially play, they're going to dominate. And they dominated. As for A&M, Connor Weigman, my biggest thing in this game was a lot of the strengths that I've seen in Connor Weigman, they turned into his weaknesses. And that's never rare for him. And I still think he's a great quarterback, but I felt like in that game, he was stressed out under pressure. He was making inaccurate throws, and he was underthrowing, and it looked like he was like making like random decisions in the game that wasn't what he was supposed to be making. Like errors from him that I've never seen before. And I get it. Look, I still think Connor Weigman's good, but for all the A&M, as you said, oh, we got to bench him. No, shut up. No, it was one bad game. It's week 1. And even though he lost in this environment, I still think Connor Weigman could improve. But for Notre Dame, this is a statement win. And in my honest opinion, this was the biggest win we needed. Because looking at the rest of the schedule, unless we lay an egg and have a horrible game against some team, we're favored to win out. The only game that I see that that was probably our toughest opponent was Florida State. And they just lost to Boston College by like 20. And I've said this before with Notre Dame. I've never been the guy who's always kind of been like, oh, we're going to win a national championship. Because I've always said, we have to wait and see because even with the rules this year with the playoff, even if we have an undefeated season, we can't get into the top 4 because we're not in a conference. And people who understand and I'm going to explain this so people can understand. The reason why Notre Dame hasn't been in a conference is in the old 1930s when, Newt Rockne and all them were the head coach. He would call teams and ask them to play us, and we would go to them. So we would be playing like Texas in Austin, USC in Los Angeles, Alabama and Tuscaloosa. We would be going to play them. And it was like we were trying to get a national brand so people knew who they were outside of that small area in Indiana. And my thing is with this, I understand why we're not going to join a conference until I feel like it affects the way we're able to get teams to make ourselves sort of legitimate schedule. I think we won't join. But to this game's matter, I'm happy for the team. I'm happy we won because I was so nervous going into this game. And looking at the rest of our schedule, I've never said this, but I'm going to say this now. If we're healthy and we can play this type of if we can play better on the offensive side of the ball, Notre Dame might just win a national championship. And I rarely say that often, but I think this team can go all the way if we're healthy. And I put all my faith in Riley Leonard, and I think he's going to play incredible this season. Even though it was a tough environment, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It's week 1. We're not going to eat him alive. But we play Illinois this week. We need to get a big win. But, yeah, I'm just so happy we won this game because this game had me on pins and needles all day Saturday, just praying that we could walk in. And walking into an environment like Kyle Field and getting a big win like that, we can't write it any better.
Yeah, I'm glad you're happy, man. BRF.
Notre Dame getting a win like that is good for the psyche. Very good for their psyche because we've seen Notre Dame in years past. Big games like this on the road, they don't always travel well. They don't always show up big games like that on the road. To get a game like that in Kyle Field, easily one of the hardest places to play in college football. Because them folks in College Station, boy, they don't mess around with the noise. They get wild with it. So for Notre Dame to go get a win like that is big for them. And I think honestly, a win like that should give them serious momentum heading into the rest of the season. Because just looking at that game from an outsider's perspective, I felt like Texas A&M. They always keep defense, and I felt like the offense could do enough to maybe give Notre Dame a real barn burner type of game. And I think Notre Dame's defense, I think honestly for me was the difference in this game to be able to kind of withstand like early momentum, like like they always say when you're on the road, you kind of once you get past that early onslaught, as far as like whether it's the fans or what the team's trying to do early, once you get past that and just get into the meat and potatoes of the game, Notre Dame did a really good job as far as maintaining a certain level of poise you need to play in a big time situation, in a situation like that. So that's kudos to Marcus Freeman. That's kudos to him keeping his players focused on the task at hand, which was getting that first win to set them up for the rest of the year. So, and I can honestly say this, even though I'm a Georgia fan, we had a conversation last night about certain franchises, certain universities, and certain sports. When they're winning, it makes that sport better. Notre Dame being the success, Notre Dame winning is good for college football because they are one, like, if you want to say for a better lack of term, they're one of the OGs of college football. So when they're winning, college football is thriving. When Notre Dame is successful, say it's like I was saying like last night, like with the Knicks, the Celtics, the old guard like that in the NBA, or the Yankees, the Dodgers, the old guard like that in baseball. Or teams like if the Raiders were winning, or say like the Packers, the Niners, like the Steelers, like the old guard. When the teams when they're successful, the sport just thrives better. So I'm glad to see Notre Dame get a win like that, and hopefully they can build up into the future, into the remaining games. Because honestly, I'm with Grant, man. Florida State, honestly, is probably, you would think on paper, is the game that probably worries you the most from here on out. But we don't trust Florida. Florida State's 0-2. We don't trust them right now. So that was a big win for Notre Dame, and I'm hoping they can carry this momentum on because, I mean, like I said, when Notre Dame's winning, it's good for college football.
Champ?
Hey, look, Notre Dame, the old guard. If you want the old guard, they are the epitome of the old guard. They are the Duke of football. I mean, when you talk about media darlings, you know, Notre Dame. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm a huge SEC fan, and my knock on Notre Dame the past couple of years has been this: whenever they came down south, they always folded. That was the biggest knock. When they faced Alabama, I mean, I never forget when they faced Alabama in that national championship back during the BCS. It was a foregone conclusion at that point. It was like, hey, the real national championship was the SEC championship with Georgia versus Bama. This ain't even going to be no contest. Then later on, they made it to the college football playoffs. That was no contest either. And the biggest knock on them, they haven't beaten one of those SEC powers. And for them to go down there and beat Texas A&M, who was a very, very talented team, especially, let's just keep it real, finding more stability in that program with better coaches because Jimbo Fisher wasn't worth the salt and the bread. So for them to go down there in a place like College Station and get a win, that's nothing short of spectacular. Now, I was looking down a little bit in order to see the schedule. They're not going to be tested really again, but in 2 games. That's USC because, despite, you're going to have to score some points when you play USC and Georgia Tech. Those are the only 2 games I can see them getting tested in. But other than that, I can see them really running the table, man. And Marcus Freeman, man, I'm so grateful to see a coach of his stature at Notre Dame doing things. I'm grateful to see that. And people thought that he wasn't going to be ready because Brian Kelly took off and came down south, but he's proven they haven't missed a beat. They have not missed a beat. He's gotten his share of criticism because it is Notre Dame. And it's not like the old Notre Dame. When you came to Notre Dame back in the day, they expected you to win a national championship. Now they're hungry for one. They're hungry for a national championship. So it's just like we need to get back to winning those national championships. Well, it was Notre Dame versus the world because we was beating the University of Miami. We was beating the Florida State. We was beating everybody. They didn't stand a chance against us. They're trying to get back to that. So they're hungry. And I think this year, it's almost a foregone conclusion to me, in my humble opinion. It's going to be Ohio State and Georgia, but I could definitely see them and the U making some noise in the college football playoff. Hey, as the NFL proves to us, anything can happen in the playoffs. Anything. And with 12 teams going in, especially if 4 SEC teams going to be in there, anything can happen.
You ain't lying there. And you mentioned the U. Boy, that quarterback Cam Ward, man, he is talented, man. I have him as my favorite to win the Heisman.
Hop on the Heisman train now.
Yeah, man.
Just hop on it now. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm say this. I said this last year. Everyone called me crazy when I said if this dude goes to Miami and you give him elite weapons under Cristobal, he's going to dominate. And they just beat Florida in the swamp. And not even just beat Florida in the swamp. They dominated Florida. Like, I haven't seen a Florida team get dominated that bad in the swamp in like 10 years. Like, that's how bad it is. They got destroyed.
Yep.
And look, it's because Cam Ward, when I said this, the problem was, when Cam Ward was at Washington State, he got hurt and it messed him up. And plus, the weapons around him were god-awful because Washington State has never been able to build a team. They're able to have good seasons, but then they go right back to the old ways. Now he's in an offense specifically built for him with solid weapons on that team. And I'm honestly shocked. I think I predicted Miami to win the ACC. And if they do that every week, oh, yeah, they're going to win it. No doubt. Because Clemson got destroyed by Georgia. The only other – Florida State's down in the mud right now. They just lost to Georgia Tech at Boston College. So in my honest opinion, if Miami can do this every week, they win the ACC, and then Cam Ward could be a Heisman finalist headed to New York. So,
anything's possible, and especially with some of the transfer moves that they've made. To Champ's point, he's talked about the transfer portal with Dabo Swinney. Dabo, you're a hell of a coach. No one can take away what you accomplished at the University of Clemson. You won 2 national championships, but at the same time, you're going to have to get ahead with the times. The things you used to do back in the day, you can't do them now. So you better evolve, or eventually they'll move on from you. Harrison, what were your thoughts about the Notre Dame A&M game? Did you watch it by any chance?
Yes, I did watch. I saw a little bit. I put some bets on it, but Riley Leonard really disappointed me as usual. I mean, listen, as a Duke fan, I love Coach Elko. I love Riley Leonard. I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. I was a bunch of mixed bags, like a bunch of like trail mix. You don't know what you're gonna get. It's like Forrest Gump. Life is a box of chocolate. You never know what you're gonna get. And seeing Riley Leonard played solid, and also we seen Coach Mike Elko, who did a great job at Duke. But listen, I'm not trying to be off topic or anything, but Coach Manny Diaz used to be the defensive coordinator from Penn State. I'm telling you, Coach Diaz is underrated in college football. And he said this when he went to a college basketball game for Duke versus Baylor. He said this got to be protected at all costs. And I think I told this to Champ, and I comment on his TikTok video. Duke is going to be ranked this year again, because last year you guys saw Riley Leonard destroyed Clemson. We haven't beat Clemson since 1991. I was not even born there, but I'm telling you that. Wait, I think it was it's somewhere in the 99. I don't remember. Sorry. But I think Duke is going to be ranked this year. I'm telling you this. What Coach Manny Diaz did for Duke, absolutely amazing so far. And listen, never doubting Mike Elko. I'm so glad that he fixed this Duke football program around. But it's time for Coach Manny Diaz time to turn this Duke organization, and hopefully we can win a lot more bowl games right now, and hopefully we can be in the top 20 this year, close to the top 15. But that's my personal opinion. But back to the Notre Dame game versus Texas A&M. I still think that this year, I think Texas A&M, I think they were close, but it's not close enough. But like what you say about Marcus Freeman, PSP, this guy's going to be special. If I'm not mistaken, was he the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers before?
No, that was Josh Freeman.
So. You think about Josh Freeman.
Josh Freeman? Oh,
yeah,
okay, my fault. But yeah, Freeman was a really
defensive mind. And shout out to my man Bobby Brown. Go check out the Ball Hog Sports Talk podcast. He's also a Notre Dame guy himself. He was very happy, very pleased with the Marcus Freeman hiring. And, it's good to see with Marcus Freeman. Look, he just has to live up to his expectations. Don't worry about being Notre Dame in the past. Focus on now. To Champ's point, I love what he said. As always, great minds think alike. Notre Dame is hungry. This could be a great opportunity for them to compete. So we'll see with Marcus Freeman. But fellas, we got to talk about FSU. What the hell is going on in Tallahassee? They lost to a Georgia Tech 24-21, and just when things couldn't get any worse, they did against Boston College. Almost gave up 300 yards on the ground, and DJ Uiagalelei, who I'm not that sold on. And look, he made threw a bad pass, 4th and 5 on that interception. He had a wide open receiver in the end zone and just overthrew him. Florida State's defense, man. To me, I don't know what is going on. Maybe look, I know Coach Prime is in Colorado, but if there was ever a time to pick up Coach Prime, maybe it would be now. No offense to the head coach, but Tallahassee, I don't know what the hell is going on, man. Champ, can you explain to the audience what's going on in Florida State?
Hey, first of all, let me set the tone. Knock, knock. Who's there? Owen who? 0-2. Because that's how you win now. 0-2. You went down like the Titanic, my friend, and it ain't getting no better. Hey, I'm gonna just be real with you. The problem is they can't stop the run. That's number one.
No, they cannot.
They cannot stop the run. And when you can't stop the run, you can't stop anything. When you can't stop the run, you open yourself up for a lot of trick plays, a lot of great passes. You open yourself up for a lot of things. Number two, man, look, they lost a lot of starters to the NFL. This ain't the same team that it's not like they brought back a whole bunch of starters on that team. A lot of these guys are new. A lot of these young men are new to that organization. And, it's going to take some growing pains. That team last year was an anomaly, what we saw. You don't see that too often. But the thing is, they lacked they lacked some, even with Jordan Travis, you see where they lack certain offensive paralysis then. So it's just they can't stop the run. They picked the wrong quarterback at a certain point with DJ Uiagalelei. And the thing is, I don't understand how is he still in school. I mean, he's gonna be about my age when he finally graduated.
It worked for Stetson Bennett.
I mean, it did. But Stetson
Bennett's good. There's a difference.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about the age gap. I mean, Stetson Bennett, people were saying, how is he that old and playing this well in college football? Hey.
Yeah, it's like the thing is Stetson won, and he's still good at the pro level. Look at what he did against the Dallas Cowboys on that last drive. So, he had to take some time off more to get his mind right, but guess what? He's still good. And especially with Sean McVay as his coach, hey, he can be able to do great things, especially with coaching like that. But I digress. Hey, that team is not the same, man. They don't have a quarterback at this point in time. DJ is not that guy. And look, that team, the ACC, I've never thought that I would see them fall as far as I'm seeing them now. The ACC as a whole,
Virginia Tech lost to Vandy.
Yeah.
They ass whooped by Vandy. Got whipped by Vandy.
The ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference is garbage. It's garbage. I never thought I would see where all of the flagship teams, with the exception of Miami, is just down in the dumps. Virginia Tech, FSU, Clemson, after seeing them at the height of everything. That conference is horrible. And there was never a time for Notre Dame to join the conference. Go ahead and join the ACC. You might win 12 national championships the way everything going down here right about now in the ACC. But I've never thought that I would see the ACC fall so hard as I'm seeing it now. There was a time when you went to the ACC, it was great competition from Virginia Tech to Florida State, the University of Miami, even Boston College, and all of that. But I've never seen them in the state that I've seen them now. And that is why they're losing money at this point in time. And a lot of the teams are trying to break away from that conference to go to other conferences because it's just that bad. It's just that bad. And, for those teams to fall from, for Florida State, to fall from, going virtually undefeated last year on the verge of a playoff berth to now being 0-2 and just being ran through like a hot knife through butter. It's like, the playoffs is over. You can just put it, whatever beef you had with the playoffs right now, you best to grill it up and eat it because it ain't happening. So you better focus on trying to make the Coca-Cola Bowl or whatever kind of bowl you're making to at least look presentable for some of these recruits, because you're not looking the part right about now. This is not the Florida State I grew up on. This is not the Bobby Bowden, just dominance and excellence. It hasn't been that for a while. And it's a shame to see. When you talk about flagship teams in college football, man, you got to put Florida State right up there. So you got to put the Seminoles right up there. And for them to be as bad as they are right now, after the injustice that was done to them just a year ago, after the injustice that was done to them a year ago by the College Football Playoff Committee, and this is what you come back and give us? It's a shame. Frank Norvell, look, get back in the transfer portal, get you a quarterback, and do something. Because the thing is, the ACC is not that strong anymore. And guess what? You get a decent team, you can make a run at it if you have a decent team in the ACC. But the thing is, hey, Florida State, y'all got to get back on y'all P's and Q's. Y'all was just undefeated a year ago, and now it's like, now you finna go back to the Salad Bowl. That's how far you fallen at this point.
And hopefully some defensive players in the transfer portal and also in recruiting as well, because they certainly need it, because they could not stop a nosebleed on the ground against Boston College, man. BRF Sports, what were your thoughts on Florida State going 0-2?
Boy, DJ Uiagalelei looking more like DJ You Ain't It right now, the way he playing right now. He look awful. he look awful. No, like what, it's like he's bro, he looked that it, like his confidence is like that shot down. Like I'll give you for real, like I'll give you an example. Like the game against BC, he had an open dude, back corner of the end zone, back pylon, and he overshoots him by like 5 yards. I'm like, at feet set. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like the dude's playing with no confidence at all. And I mean, y'all brought up the point that defense can't stop a nosebleed. They can't stop the run. When you can't stop the run, a team that specializes in the play action, which is built off of running the ball, they're looking at you like, oh, we're going to eat you alive when we see you if you cannot stop the run like that. And but yeah, like the champ's point, man, the ACC as a whole is just awful. And like going back to talking about Clemson, like, did y'all see the quote from Dabo Swinney when they asked him about the transfer portal? This nut had the nerve to say none of the dudes in the transfer portal were good enough to play at Clemson. I'm like, and you wonder why you go and get your butts kicked against Georgia like that for not going into the transfer portal. Like what is going on? What is happening here? Mm-hmm. And it's like Champ brought up the question about is Dabo on the hot seat? Not yet. But if you're going to make dumb statements like that, you're going to speed up the process, is what you're trying to do. But going back to Florida State, they just, I don't know what they need to do. Like, yeah, they lost a lot of starters. This is definitely not the team that was basically running roughshod over everybody and basically were denied a shot at the college football playoff. Let's just say it. Jordan Travis was hurt. Was the only reason why they didn't get to the college football playoff. Let's just keep it a buck. Was because Jordan Travis was hurt. Let's just be honest with it. If Jordan Travis did get hurt, if Jordan Travis does not get hurt, because I believe they were talking about it, like they vote as far as like they vote. Let's just keep it real. Let's just keep it real. It's not just the strength of schedule you play. It's not just your quality wins. It's how you look cosmetically as a team. Let's just keep it a buck. And the fact that Jordan Travis was hurt basically eliminated their chances, which I think is stupid. Because if you go undefeated, you win your conference, you deserve it. Why not? Give them a shot. But yeah, like that last year's done. Frank Norvell really needs to he needs to go back to the drawing board like 2 weeks ago, like straight up. He needs to figure out the best way to build some confidence up for this team. And he needs to do it in the worst way. Otherwise, they're going to be 0-3, 0-4, and you can just kiss the college football playoff goodbye. You might kiss the ACC championship game goodbye because you're not gonna have any confidence going the rest of the season if you're not playing well and you're losing games that you should be winning. Georgia Tech, I give them a pass. Overseas, Dublin, we get it. Playing conditions you might not necessarily be used to. We get it. I give you a pass for that. Boston College should not be coming into Tallahassee and dog walking you the way they did. Just inexcusable. Just inexcusable. So they need to go back to the drawing board. They need to figure out a way to build up some confidence for this team. particularly DJ Uiagalelei, and particularly that front seven, he needs to find some confidence in those two particular parts of the team, because I feel like they're going to go on the backs of that quarterback and that front seven, because if they're not playing well, they have no shot to make any type of real noise this year. So they need to get back on the drawing board. They need to figure something out pronto. Otherwise, they won't have no room to complain about not making the playoffs, because their play is going to keep them from making it.
Harrison?
Is it crazy to say that Duke can actually make it to the ACC championship game? I mean, we could be top, almost, we could be honorable mention in the top 3. I'm just saying. I mean, Miami, BC. I mean, just for now. BC.
Let's get to week 8 first.
And also honorable mention Duke. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, like, but yeah, back to what you're saying about Florida State. I think they still might be drunk. They might be drunk from last year, from Jordan Travis. But man, Florida State, Clemson, the downfall of Florida State and Clemson. It's so beautiful. It's beautiful in my eyes as a Duke fan, and hopefully we can go see something new, something fresh this year. Seeing, like, I don't know, like a fucking Duke Miami or Georgia Tech Miami or whatever, you know. But like at the end of the day, it feels good to see the downfall. I mean, I think the Clemson head coach is going to retire after this season, because he just hasn't been the same since. He hasn't been the same since, like, what, Trevor Lawrence? Probably since the Deshaun Watson era, maybe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, since after that, because, you know,
since Trevor Lawrence got drafted, he hasn't been able to find somebody to stay on that level. That's been
ironically, DJ used to play at Clemson, and
yeah, I'm about to get into that once it's my turn, because who I got.
But yeah, back what I was saying, but the downfall from Florida State, DJ, like BRF said, DJ, you ain't it, Chief. But god damn, he was not been playing well. So it feels good to be a Duke fan right now. Hopefully, right now we're winning against Northwestern 7-3 right now, and Henry Murphy's playing like a dog.
Grant?
So first thing I'm going to say, DJ, just go ahead and fill this out, my boy. This is a Jack-in-a-Box application because you don't deserve McDonald's. I want you to fill that out for me right now. Because that was pathetic. And I'm going to start off with this. This is the craziest thing to me about DJ, right? This dude was a top 2 recruit and coming out of high school behind, I think it was like Bryce Young. He to Clemson and
he was rated higher than CJ Stroud. That's the point I keep bringing up to everybody.
That's what's crazier. This dude was in that era and he was behind Trevor Lawrence. We saw what happened because y'all remember when Clemson went to go play Notre Dame, Trevor Lawrence got COVID and they sat him out and put DJ in and they lost. And then literally that game where Notre Dame was in the ACC and they went to the championship and Trevor Lawrence was in, they got dog walked. We got dog walked. You know why? Because DJ wasn't that good. And when Dabo was having that, we saw what happened when he got his first chance against Georgia back in 2021. Champ, you know this as well as I do. What happened when DJ got into that game and he played that Georgia team up in Charlotte?
They only scored 3 points.
Exactly.
Remember the pick six that he threw?
Exactly. It was horrible. And then he leaves because Dabo basically says, I'm probably not going to start you. He leaves, goes to Oregon State, does okay at Oregon State, but Oregon State's team completely has a falling out after the coach left and the whole team falls apart and everyone, like literally everyone dips. And he goes to Florida State and he does the same thing again. I have been saying this for years. DJ Uiagalelei is not a good college quarterback because every time he got given the opportunity to take the reins with a top program, he completely folded under the pressure. And that's not a slight. And that's not a slight on him because I still think he can be a good player in some aspects. But you keep setting yourself up in this situation where we're acting like that this dude wasn't the same dude who was laying eggs at every chance he's gotten. Like, I'm tired of people trying to tell me, and I heard about this from Florida State fans too. They said DJU was going to be different under this program. Champ, you said it. That whole team, they lost a ton of their top players to the draft. Now they're starting with basically a brand new roster that doesn't really know how to get in there yet. And they've sold against two teams. I was able to let the Georgia Tech game slide because it's Dublin, Ireland. It's a different environment. You're not going to be used to playing that. But to Boston College, watching that game, it looked like DJU had never thrown a football before in some moment. It looked like he was scrambling under pressure, making horrible mistakes. And it just looked like he was completely all over the place. And my thing with Florida State fans is, if y'all want to talk about the playoff, y'all could just go ahead and write that down. I don't want to hear y'all ever complain again, because this is what I said was going to happen. I said if Florida State started off this season and they ended up bombing, it's going to look 10 times worse on every single fan who complained that they got robbed last year. And I said this on your podcast last week, BSB.
You did.
Y'all can't say that we would have put up a fight against Michigan, because if y'all played that Michigan team right now, that last year, that George Travis, y'all would have gotten destroyed. And I hate this because this is the same problem I've said. He's not good. He's in a system where it was built, where he was literally just given the opportunity because he was behind probably one of the greatest Clemson quarterbacks of all time in Trevor Lawrence. And when he got himself an opportunity to stand in that spotlight, what did he do? He sold. He can't be able to be put in a position to lead a program like this. And it's unfortunate, but it's the situation of giving. It's like, the best way I can describe this is like after an amateur boxer wins his first fight, you put him up against a freaking prime Evander Holyfield. He's going to get destroyed. It's not because I think DJU is an incompetent quarterback. I think these programs gave him this position way too early, and he completely sold. And I blame Dabo Swinney because in my honest opinion, before that season started, when I was watching DJU, I was like, this kid's not ready. He's not ready to take a position with a Clemson team like this and be able to play at a level like this. But Dabo was so desperate to keep their level of, because keep in mind at that time, everyone was thinking Clemson was going to be a top 5 team. They were trying to keep that same level of talent that you completely put this kid up for failure. And now he's in a situation at Florida State where their playoff hopes are dashed. The whole team is going to be gone. And now you have to ask yourself, where do we go from here? Because at this point, y'all got to, because keep in mind, New Year's Six Bowls are done. New Year's Six Bowls are part of the playoff now. So there's no way they could get in with that. So essentially, you're basically hoping for just a mediocre bowl at best. And even if that happens, we're probably going to see a ton of the players opt out if they're going to go to the draft. So as for Florida State, their season's done. And I've said this about DJU, and I'll say it one more time. This dude was not good to begin with. He was given too much of a responsibility too soon, and he folded under the pressure. And I think now that he was at Florida State, we've now really seen it for what it is. And it's unfortunate, but sometimes you got to rip off the Band-Aid the hard way. And it's going to sting and it's going to hurt, but sometimes you have to accept it. And this is what you get. You completely lose to two teams that should have been wins for you guys. Even if they were close, they should have been wins. And it's completely pathetic for Florida State. And I'm not going to say anything about Mike Norvell because I'm not going to put this on him because I think he's trying to do the best he can with the situation he has. And it's unfortunate for Florida State, but you can't make excuses for stuff like that.
With DJ Uiagalelei, I mean, prior to Notre Dame, he was playing a little bit well, but once that Notre Dame game that I saw on the road, and then followed by the couple of seasons at Clemson, I'm just sorry. And then the Georgia game, I'm glad you brought up the Georgia game, Grant. He got beat down by Georgia, wasn't even close. And look, man, I agree with you, Grant, completely. What you said about DJ Uiagalelei is what Champ has been saying all along about Desmond Ridder. Even if you fed him refried beans, he can't pass gas. DJ Uiagalelei is just not that good, man. And with Florida State, it's only going to get worse and worse and worse for them because of their schedule. They can't stop the run. Like in a couple of weeks, don't they got Miami? Don't they got some teams that they got to deal with soon?
So, yeah, they do. So hold up. So this is their schedule for the rest of the season. So they got Memphis at home. Then they gotta go. They have Cal at home. They play SMU on the road. Then they come back home and have to play Clemson. They have Duke. They have to go play Duke in North Carolina. They come back. Then they have to play Miami in Hard Rock. Then they play UNC at home. Then they come play Notre Dame in South Bend. Then they close out the season playing Charleston Southern at home and Florida at home. That's the rest of their schedule.
And that's going to be hell for them.
It is.
Well, real quick. Yeah, no, real quick. Actually, I got the Packers Eagles going, so I don't mind providing live updates of this game as it's going.
Oh yeah.
This game is turning into a shootout.
I could, yeah.
It's turning into a shootout. It is now 26-24 Green Bay, and we're just starting with the third. We're just beginning the third quarter.
All right, guys, let's continue on with one last college football conversation, and then we'll move back to the NFL regarding picks. The big game at Ann Arbor. Number 3, Texas going up against 10th ranked Michigan. Texas is a 7-point favorite heading into that game. Guys, look, I love as much as I love me some OU, champ, you know that as well, but I also love me some Michigan. Very happy that Michigan won the national championship last year. But in this game, I think Texas is going to beat them. It's going to be at least 27-17. Texas should win this game. Look, Texas, they showed a lot last year, especially with that impressive victory on the road at Alabama. So it wouldn't make any difference. It wouldn't be a surprise that they would go to Ann Arbor and beat Michigan with Quinn Ewers there. So I think with Michigan, all you have to do on offense is just take care of the football. Defense, don't give up too many dumb penalties, too many PIs. How's the head coach? I like what I'm seeing from the head coach. But for me, I just think Texas is going to be enough. I got Texas winning this one 27-17, and I actually think Texas is going to go back to the college football playoffs and hopefully for the national championship. As much as I hate to say that as an OU fan and Michigan fan, I just feel like it's the truth. But who do you guys have for the Texas-Michigan game?
I'll start it off. I think Texas just has too many playmakers. Yeah. I think that's what it's gonna boil down to at the end of the day. I mean, I just think Texas just had too many playmakers on both sides of the ball. We know how Michigan, they turn up in Ann Arbor. We know this. It's one of the hardest places to play in college football. We know this. But I think Texas is going to go in there and beat Michigan. I think it's going to be a good game. I actually think it's going to be a close game. I'll go 24-20. I'll go 24-20 Texas. I think it's going to be a close game. But I just ultimately think I think it's going to be like a war, kind of like a war of attrition. And I just think, the playmakers that Texas have, I think it's just going to outweigh what Michigan can do right now. I got Texas.
Grant?
Yeah, look, as much as I want to sit here and give Michigan all this praise, I think what Texas have right now is a very solid weapons group. I mean, they got Isaiah Bond from Alabama, and, Quinn Ewers is basically, in my opinion, going to be one of the biggest reasons why I think Texas pulls this game off. And look, honestly, if you look at it from the receiving end, it's not even close. Ryan Wingo, Jonte Cook II, Matthew Golden. And also on the running side of the ball with Jarek Gibson and Jaden Blue. This is a team that I think is going to be a very big threat this year. And as much as I think Michigan is I think this game is going to be closer than a lot of people think. I don't think it's going to be a blowout because, again, it is the big house. In my opinion, it is one of the toughest. It is in the top 5 of my toughest environments to play in college football. I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think because I think Michigan's going to try and put up a fight. But Michigan lost so many of their star players in that draft that they had from that national championship squad that I don't think it's going to be – it's going to go the way they think. I think they'll put up a fight, but I think right now when I look at Texas, I think they're going to have enough to pull it out. I got it 31-28 Texas, and I think it's going to be a close game, but I think it's going to come down to the wire, and it's going to shock a lot of people.
Harrison?
Do I have a coin? I think I do have a coin. Okay. All right, we're flipping a coin right now. Heads is Texas, tails Michigan. Hold up. I think it's heads. I'm picking Texas. 31-28. Texas. I'm sorry. 31-28 Texas.
Champ.
You know what, man? I think we giving Michigan a little bit too much respect at this point, man, because this ain't the same team we saw last year.
Really?
No,
they ain't returning all.
No, they're not.
They're not. These are Blake Corum is not in that building. All of those talent that they had, they're gone. They're gone. I mean, granted, Texas just lost Jonathan Brooks to the NFL, but guess what? Sorry. That talented team that was there last year in Michigan, that's gone.
Yeah,
and they're on the verge of being on probation. And if that ain't enough, Coach Sharoni is playing without a contract.
Yeah, that whole program.
He's playing. Michigan's head coach, it's been confirmed, is playing without a contract.
That's insane to me.
So the thing is, good. Coach, taking nothing away from Coach. But I don't think this Michigan team is as good as we think. Granted, last week, tune-up game. Everybody was playing tune-up games, getting ready, so you can go into the week. I don't think they're as good as the rankings say they are. They lose by at least 3 touchdowns.
Appreciate your honesty, Champ. I mean, I ain't mad at it at all. I have it 27-17. I do think it wouldn't surprise me, though, if the game was that close, only because it's Ann Arbor. Now, if this were in Texas, oh, absolutely. Texas would be throwing 40, 50 points in that game. I hate to say that. As much as I love me some Michigan, that would happen if it were at Texas. I think Texas is going to blow them out, and it's going to be 27-17. Only because of the crowd, the atmosphere there. Like you said before, guys, Ann Arbor isn't an easy place to play at. So I'm just only being conservative, only because I'm a Michigan fan. Nevertheless, I still have them losing this one. All right, guys, let's go for some NFL picks.
Actually, before we get into that, I need to give off this Ohio State take that I've been brewing on for the past few weeks, and I just want to say it real quick, and then we can move on. I've been thinking about this for a while, and y'all gonna hate me for this, but I don't really care. If Ryan Day does not win a national championship this year with the Ohio State squad, he needs to be let go. I said it. And the reason why I say it is you need to hear me out. When we talk about what is the big Ohio State have not won a national championship since Urban Meyer was there. They've gotten to the national championship, but they didn't win it. Look at Ohio State in the past few years that Ryan Day has had, and I'm going to list off a few of those weapons that he's had. Chris Olave, CJ Stroud, Michael Thomas. This year, he's got freaking Emeka Egbuka, who I think is going to be one of the biggest shocks this season. And they have a star freshman on that squad who is in that first game of the season has completely dominated. I could go through the list of talent that Ohio State has had, and it could be any team in the country. Ryan Day has been getting on the end of the stick because he gets to that level and he still doesn't win it. My biggest thing with Ryan Day is this. Ohio State always has one goal in mind. Beat Michigan, win a national championship. You haven't beat Michigan in 3 years, and you haven't won the national championship in your entire tenure. And my biggest problem with this, I think Ohio State fans have been letting this man off the hook because he's been getting into these undefeated seasons and getting them on this roster. He has to win a national championship. He can't continue. And plus, look at the future. If he has 2 top quarterback recruits in Caleb Downs and John Smithioni, who I think are going to be some of the biggest quarterback recruits that he could have gotten. Ryan Day has been put on this excuse of, oh, well, it's because he didn't get there in the moment. No. If this was any other coach in the country who had these levels of talent, because hell, look at any other team in the country that's had weapons load of talent. If the same, I'm trying to think of a name of a random example. If we were talking about Clemson the same way and we were saying this stuff about Dabo, why can't we say the same thing about Ryan Day? He can't continue to sit here and say, oh, well, we were in this situation. Last year, you had probably the You didn't make the playoff last year, and you got smoked out by Missouri. Granted, half your players were gone because they all opted out. But Ryan Day has been given this excuse of, oh, I'm not going to sit here and have to worry about making the playoff. You have to win a national championship at Ohio State. That's a must. And if you don't win it this year with this roster, because I'm going to keep it a buck, this is the most dangerous Ohio State roster I've seen in a minute. They got Quinshon Judkins from Ole Miss. You, again, like I said before, Emeka Egbuka, who, in my honest opinion, is going to be one of the top receivers in the country this year, just because for what I've seen, he's an incredible receiver. And I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, you know, I don't like Ohio State because they beat my Notre Dame Fighting Irish in a clutch game. But my biggest thing is you can't continue to get to this level and continue to sell every time. So to put it simply, if he doesn't win a national championship this year, he needs to go. And they need to bring someone in who could get him there. Because you can't continue to say, we're on this level, we are this team, and every single time completely continue to fail at that goal. That's all I got to say.
Champ, you got something?
I'll be short. I don't agree with that because I compare him to one coach and one coach only. My coach down here in Athens, Kirby Smart. Because before 2 years ago, he was falling short. Fell short in that first national championship that he had in his first year, then fell short again in a couple of SEC championships. Hell, if you really want me to be honest with you, hell, look, we got a second chance. If it wasn't for that second chance given to us by the College Football Committee because we passed the eye test, guess what? We would have been out of it the first time. But the thing is, I compare Ryan Day a lot to Kirby Smart. He was losing to the best competition. Kirby Smart was losing to Alabama and was losing to LSU when they were at their best. Ryan Day, the same thing. He lost to UGA, went on to be a national championship. He lost to Michigan, went on to the college football playoffs at a national championship. So I compare him a lot to Kirby Smart because the thing is, he's losing to teams that eventually has gone and won national championship. It's like you can't discount that. And if you lose him, who are you going to go get? Who are you going to go get? Because guess what? He's coached this team. And look how long it took Jim Harbaugh in order to win a national championship at Michigan.
9 years.
He had a hell of a lot of talent. So the thing is, I don't think that we should be, completely ousting Ryan Day after this year if he doesn't win a national championship. I have him picked to go against my Georgia Bulldogs in the national championship. But if you really look at the careers of him and Kirby Smart, as far as losing big games early on, they're very, very similar. And like I said, each person that he's lost to has each went on to win national championship. And the thing is, look, let's just keep it all the way a buck. I'm a UGA fan. I bleed red and black. I got a black shirt on right about now and my headband black. That's how much I love my state. But if it wasn't for Maserati Marv getting knocked out of that game, we lose that game. We lose that game. They gave me 5 heart attacks during that game. I was literally having a hissy fit. So if it wasn't for a missed field goal and Maserati Marv going out with an injury, we don't repeat. So I think that people are a little bit too rough on Ryan Day because of what the SEC is doing. Let's just keep it all the way a buck because the Big Ten hasn't won a lot of national championships. They're on him because of what the SEC is doing. And I don't think that's comparable. And like I said, each coach that he's lost to went on to win a national championship. Lost to UGA, lost to Michigan. I mean, you're losing to championship caliber coaches. You're just not ready yet.
All right, that's interesting. And Champ, before we move on to NFL picks, would you say Lincoln Riley as well? Because you look at during his time in Oklahoma, he went to the semi-playoffs 3 times. Three of those quarterbacks, 2/3 of them won the Heisman Trophy. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, both of them were number 1 overall picks. Jalen Hurts was the runner-up for the Heisman behind Joe Burrow. And Lincoln Riley, he's lost to superior teams. First time, we lost to your Bulldogs, which we should have won that game, though, but that's a story for another day. Had no chance against Alabama. Had no chance against LSU. The year when Caleb Williams won the Heisman Trophy, there were some opportunities you should have won against Utah in the Pac-12 championship game. So there's still other coaches out there that have been there, done that, have had loaded offenses, but still can't get the job or results done because either somebody is in their way or they can't get out of their own way.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair to say. The thing about Lincoln Riley is this. I will say this.
His problem is defense. I've always said that.
Exactly. Offense does not win championships. Teams win championships. We've seen a hell of a lot of great offenses in the NFL and college and in the college leagues. But unfortunately, if you don't have at least a lick of defense and you're giving up 47 points a game, guess what? You're not going to win much. And Lincoln Riley's a hell of a coach. I mean, let's just keep it real. I mean, for you to take over and you know, especially coming up behind a Bob Stoops, you know, one of the most legendary coaches in OU history, right behind Barry Switzer. But
right,
I digress. But the thing is this. Those coaches, they lost to the eventual champions. They lost to those eventual champions. They didn't have a chance against LSU. Look how stacked that team was. Guess what? They could have won against Georgia had they kept that defensive end number 0 in there. They took him out for some reason. Hey, as you already know, one of my best friends, he's an OU fan. We're looking at the screen like, why is he taking him out? Like, I'm a Georgia fan. I'm asking the question, why is he taking Big O out? Because guess what? That's your best pass rush. He had 15 sacks that season. But yet you take him out. So that's the thing. When you're losing against superior teams and these teams are far beyond your team, guess what? That's not necessarily a knock on you. It just means your team is not yet ready to take that step yet. I mean, there's been a lot of like I said, Kirby Smart is a prime example of a coach that, hey, you just wasn't ready yet. Hell, look what happened to Nick Saban when he first placed the University of Florida when they was at their peak. He went out there, they went out there and they got mashed. That was Nick Saban. He wasn't ready to come back and win with that University of Alabama team when Florida was at their prime. It took them another year or so in order to beat them. So you can be a good coach and it just not be your time. Hell, we've seen a lot of great coaches that we put in legendary status. They lost the big one plenty of time. And that's football, basketball, you name the sport. We've seen a lot of coaches that couldn't win the big one and they eventually won. And if you need a prime example of that, look at the NFL right now with Andy Reid. The teams are just not ready.
Mm-hmm. Excellent point, guys. Let's get into some NFL picks. Houston at Indy. Houston is a 3-point favorite. Who wins this one? Champ, you go first.
Hey, Houston gonna air him out like a ceiling fan out there. So, hey, let's get it. Houston.
Harrison.
Champ, I'm gonna do the complete opposite of what you say. I'm picking Indianapolis. 7. Actually, no. 24-20.
DRF.
I almost talked myself into Indianapolis last night, but I'm going with Houston. I expect this to be a really, really, really close game though. So, but I'm gonna go 30-27 Houston.
Grant.
You know, I mean, this is a great game. I think, you know, AR-15 comes back. You know, I was going to pick Indianapolis, but right, Houston just get Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, CJ Stroud. I just don't know if Indianapolis is going to be able to keep up with that offense. I got Houston winning, and I think it's not even close. I think it's like 24-3.
Wow. I'm going to go with Harrison. I'm going to go with the Colts for the upset. I'm going to go 30-28 Colts. I think because I like what the Colts have done in the offseason. I like the addition of Mitchell, the wide receiver from Texas, to add him with Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor, them running the football. Hey, if they run the football, hey, champ, Baltimore. See what they can do. See what you can do when you can run the football with Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor. Utilize that with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry if that happens. But I think it's going to be exciting. CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, that's going to be fun. But I got Anthony Richardson winning this one 30-28. Next game, unfortunately for me, Commanders versus Buccaneers. Tampa is a 3.5-point favorite. I got Tampa winning this one. I think Jaden Daniels is going to play okay. Dan Quinn is going to do whatever he can to make up for the defense. For Washington's defense, there's nowhere to go but up. Last year, they were the worst defense in the NFL in scoring and passing defense. Dan Quinn, if he could do some wonders with the Dallas Cowboys defense, why can't he with the Commanders? But I think Tampa wins this one. I'm going to go 27-13 Tampa. Grant.
In my honest opinion, it's going to be Tampa Bay because I just think as much as I love Jaden Daniels, if you're getting rid of his weapons, how do you expect him to succeed? And I think Baker Mayfield getting on this team, just actually being, and what I've seen last year, I think the Bucs are going, in my opinion, I think the Bucs are winning the South. Just on the I think it's going to be between Atlanta and Tampa Bay. And I think Tampa Bay wins this one and gets a good start to the season. And I think Baker Mayfield has a solid game.
Oh, that's shocking you say that, Grant. But hey, I can't blame you on that one. BRF.
I got Tampa winners this one. I just think with I don't know the strides. It's like the strides that Baker Mayfield has made really since LA and being under the tutelage of Sean McVay and gaining that knowledge and really becoming a better, quarterback, having a better understanding of playing the quarterback position, being under Sean McVay. He took it with him to Tampa, and he's played some good ball. He's played some good ball, and he still got his weapons. I mean, he still got Mike Evans. He still has Chris Godwin. I mean, he still has Rashad White in the backfield. I mean, he still got his weapons. So I got 31-14 Tampa here.
Harrison?
PSP, where's the helmet?
My OU helmet?
Because I'm picking Tampa on this one. I was thinking picking Washington on this one for the upset. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be stupid here.
I have my Washington helmet just in case, but I'm going to roll with OU.
My bad, but I'm going with Tampa on this one. I think it's going to be closer than the experts think. I think, like what you guys say about Jaden Daniels, I think he's going to go absolutely bonkers against Tampa Bay. I don't care about what their defense is or not. I say 28-27 Tampa Bay, game-winning field goal.
Champ.
Hate it or love it, the underdog's on top. And that underdog will be the Washington Commanders. They win by a field goal.
Okay. How much DiSerrano you've been drinking? You been going to the club? What convinced you to pick the Commanders? My Commanders over Tampa.
Look, man, I'm gonna just break it down. I don't think that Tampa Bay team is the same as they were last year. Granted, they still brought back most of their players, but I believe this is one of those games where we're going to see Jaden Daniels go off. We're going to see what he can really, really do because this is rookie year. You don't have a lot of film on him in order to just scope him out. And he ain't played much in the and he hasn't played adequately enough in the preseason for you to just really have the jury out on. So the thing is, him being a new quarterback with that running ability and his passing ability, I think that he can upset this team. I really do. And they talk about Dotson, but they still got, Brian Robinson. They would have got, some pieces. They would have got Austin Eckler. They still have Terry McLaurin there. They have enough in order to upset this team by a field goal. by a field goal. It's not going to be by a mile. It's going to be by an inch. But in the great words of my father, that's still in the W column. So I think Jayden Daniels can pull it out, show us what he can do on the first week of school, and, beat the Tampa Bay Bucks. Plus, they the Bucks. I ain't trying to see them win nothing.
But what have you always told me before with quarterbacks? They can't throw behind their back. And for a fact, Washington, when it comes to O-line, they are certainly not what they were back in the 90s.
No, indeed not. But like I said, I really think that this first game, we're going to see what I think he wins this first game. Like I said, it's not going to be by a lot, but I think it's going to be by a field.
And also, Tampa Bay lost their offensive coordinator.
Yes, that was a big.
That's a big loss. That's a big loss, and I think they picked up the offensive coordinator from the Rams. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Who knows? He may get a head
I don't know.
job.
That's a question mark. I mean, I'm gonna explain to Atlanta pretty soon, so just FYI.
All right, next game: Cardinals at Bills. Bills are 6.5-point favorites.
Bring out the wings. I want Buffalo.
DRF.
Yeah. Give me Buffalo here. Give me Buffalo here. I still feel like Josh Allen's still one of the best players in the league. I mean, and everybody, and everybody's on the Keon Coleman. They're on this Keon Coleman hype train. I kind of see where people are coming from. I think Keon Coleman is going to have a solid rookie year with Josh Allen. So yeah, I'm taking Buffalo here.
Grant.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm taking Buffalo too. I still think Josh Allen is that guy, and even with the loss of Stephon Diggs, I think this team is still set up in a position where I think that they could still play at a decent level. And I think starting this game, I just think they need to start off with a huge statement win to get themselves back in the process of trying to get back into the division hunt. And with that in mind, I've got Buffalo.
Harrison.
The six.
I'm gonna say this right now. I think the Cardinals are stepping into the right direction on their rebuild so far, in my opinion. But I think the next 2 years they're gonna be back in the playoffs pretty soon. So, but for now, I'm picking Buffalo 24-10. But Panthers legend Curtis.
I'm sorry, y'all, but quick live update. Saquon Barkley just scored another touchdown. That's 3 for him tonight.
Yeah, 31-26.
God damn. But Panthers legend Curtis Samuel, he's gonna get his touchdown in this game. Watch out for Curtis Samuel in this game.
All right, next one. Patriots at Bengals. Bengals are 7.5-point favorites. Is it fair to say Bengals over Patriots?
Like what you say, PSP. They need prayers. They need Jesus. They need some condolences. Yeah, that's all. I'm sorry, I had to say that, but yeah, but blow them out of the water. Just go to bed and just wait until basketball season to start for the Celtics. So please,
is the board unanimous?
Yeah, it's more than me.
I said last night on Champ's podcast, I think this is the easiest game to call. So yeah, Cincinnati all the way.
That's my lockdown of the week.
All right, Champ, Grant.
Yeah, I think this is pretty obvious. It's Cincinnati.
And Champ, obviously,
the board is unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, now this one is an interesting one right here. Minnesota at New York, the Giants. Minnesota is a 1.5-point favorite. Remember the rookie quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. He's out for the rest of the season with the torn meniscus. Sam Darnold is going to be the starter. This is an opportunity for Sam Darnold. Look, I got Minnesota winning this one. I'm sorry. I'm just not sold on Daniel Jones. And I know it was preseason, but after what I saw from him in the game against Houston in the preseason game, I'm just like, the Giants, you made the mistake. You made your bed and you laid in it by giving this man $40 million per year for 4 years. So I just don't see it's going to be close, but I have Minnesota win this one probably somewhere along the lines 19-10. Only way that the Giants could actually win this one, hey, bring back Tommy Cutlets. Bring back Tommy DeVito. That's all I got to say. BRF.
I think this definitely has the makings of an ugly game, but I do think Minnesota has a little more talent on both sides of the ball than the New York Giants do. So I'm gonna go Minnesota. I'm gonna say, good Lord, I'm gonna say 17-14.
All right, champ.
New York, big city and dreams, and everything in New York ain't always what it seems. Hey, I don't like what they did on offense, but the defense, what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball, I kind of like what they're doing in New York, especially when they got Brian Burns, I think it was Cadet. I can't say his first name, Thibodeau.
Yeah,
and
Davius
Thibodeau.
Thibodeau.
And Dexter Lawrence. I like what they're doing on the defensive side. Not sure what they're doing on the offensive side of the ball.
I love what they have on defense.
Yeah, I love what they got on defense. So, based on that defense alone, I'm gonna go with New York.
Harrison.
Man. By the way, they overpaid Brian Burns. 5 years, $150 million. It seemed like he's like the second or third slash defensive end in the league. That's just like, he didn't deserve that money. But you know what? I'm riding for the Duke legend Daniel Jones. But it's like this is the game I'm probably gonna rather go use the bathroom over this, like me personally. But I'm gonna say 14-10 New York.
Grant.
Yeah, I feel like this game for me, it was hard. At first I was gonna say Minnesota, but then JJ McCarthy tore his ACL, and I'm sorry, I still don't trust Daniel Jones. I don't care what you tell me. This dude is not the level of quarterback that I think New York thought they were getting, and I think this game just is gonna prove that again. I think Minnesota wins this one, but I think it's going to be close to. I got like 16-13. I think it was 16-13 was my prediction.
All right. And okay, next game. Tennessee at Chicago. Interesting. First start for Caleb Williams. Chicago is a 3.5-point favorite. Believe it or not, I'm gonna give Chicago the victory. This is the best way to start their campaign this season, and especially for Caleb Williams for his offensive rookie of the year. What better way to start at home in Chicago, going up against the Titans, and you lead your team to victory? I think the Bears win this one. Close one, 20-17. It's not going to be a great, spectacular game by Caleb, but I do think he can pull it off and get the job done. So I got Chicago win this one 20-17. BRF.
I got 24-17 Chicago. I just feel like the way I just think that defense, the momentum they built the second half of last season, I feel they're going to carry it into this season, because if y'all remember, that Chicago defense the second half of the season last year was one of the nastiest units in the league. When they got going, it was a whole different ball game.
I feel on Montez, he didn't listen to me.
But yeah, let me tell you. I mean, Montez Sweat added a whole different type of beast to that defense, having someone on the edge that can not only rush the passer but can set the edge as far as in the running game, and just everybody else just kind of follow suit that second half of the year. And I think they carry that momentum into this season. And in the offense, I feel like it's going take a little time, but I feel like they're gonna do just enough. I got 24-17 Chicago.
Champ.
Yeah. Don't be surprised if this game ends up in a shootout, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. As you look at both sides, as far as offense is concerned, they got the pieces in order to get into a shootout, bro. You know, you think about the pickups they went and got Calvin Ridley in order to go with DeAndre Hopkins. I think Will Levis is going to be a little bit better this year. So it has the potential in order to be a good game, you know. But I really think that Chicago is going to come out on top. I think it'll be 34-28. Bears. I think this game has the potential to be one of the good ones. I think it's going to be a good showdown. And hey, don't sell Brian Callahan short. You know, Brian Callahan goes from a long line of good offensive minded coaches. You know, Bill Callahan was a good offensive minded coach when he was at the Oakland Raiders back in the day when Rich Gannon won MVP, and when he went to Nebraska. So, I mean, don't sell him short. And you know, when you're a quarterback, you need an offensive minded coach. So I think he's going to do good. So. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot better than we think it is. I don't think it's going to be that low score game. Don't be surprised if it's a shootout, 34-28.
Grant?
I think this is a very interesting game for Caleb Williams' debut. I've said, I think we all know this at this point. I think the Chicago Bears, in my opinion, right now, the NFC North is going to be the most exciting division to watch this year because you have three teams that essentially could win it up for. I thought all four teams were having it up for grabs, but again, JJ tore his ACL. But going to this game, I think this is where I think Caleb Williams is going to show to the world that he's legit, and I think he's going to do it with this offense. I got Chicago winning it 31-28. I think it's going to be a very good game, and I think Caleb Williams is going to show out.
Harrison?
I mean, this guy. I'm that dude. I'm picking Tennessee. I'm picking Tennessee's going to win this game. Here's the reason why. Here's the thing about Chicago. I trust the players. I just don't trust the coaching staff. I mean, we all agree that Matt what's that coach? Matt Everfields, I think that's his name is for Chicago. I don't trust him whatsoever. I do not trust Thomas Brown as the offensive coordinator because what he saw last year, he was fucking awful. And also their offensive line is shit. Literally shit, but the defense is okay. But like, I mean, they have pieces, but like at the same time, I mean, they could do something with that. But Tennessee, listen, I know a lot of people are hyping on Tennessee. I know all of you guys don't have it. Tennessee, the hype train right now. But I think Tennessee's going to be really competitive this year. I think they win 7 games this season. But I'm picking Tennessee. I'm picking the mayonnaise and coffee as boy, whatever that
mayonnaise,
guy. But mayonnaise boy. Yes, mayonnaise boy. I'm picking mayonnaise boy 27-24 Tennessee. I'm pretty sure. I think D-Hop is dealing with an injury, if I'm not mistaken. But
yes, MCL tear.
Damn. Now
he's going to play with it though. So
that's a question mark right now. But like, you know what? D-Hop is D-Hop. But Will Levis, he's gonna throw some dimes here. So I'm gonna say 27-24 Tennessee.
All right, Harrison, we're gonna let you go first with this one. Carolina at New Orleans, and the Saints are 4-point favorites.
Alrighty. For the past, that was by far last year was by far one of the worst years in my entire life, and the take I had aged well like expired milk. I'll say this: I think I'm not excited, but I'm optimistic this year. We got the best running back coming out of this draft, named Jonathan Brooks. We got the second best tight end coming out of this draft, named Jatavion Sanders. And also, we fixed the offensive line. And shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, Panthers legend, Dan Morgan, by the way. Came from the University of Miami. Dan Morgan is trying to look for, spell the words, DAWGS. Champ, what is that word? Stands for a dog. He's trying to find a dog in this draft, and he did. And I think, we don't have Jonathan Brooks, even though he's still trying to recover from a torn ACL. I'm picking my team. I think the Saints offensive line is not going to be good. Derek Carr is not that good of a quarterback. And I guarantee, I feel like this might be, I know might be a hot take of your guys' opinion, but the Saints are going to be in last place of the division this year. I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to say Carolina wins 28-24.
28-24. Grant, do you want to respond?
I'm going to say this now. If the Saints lose to Carolina, I'm going to have the worst crash out I've ever had in my life. I'm having my doubts that the fact that my whole fan base is arguing that we should start Spencer Rattler over Derek Carr because of one preseason game. And I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I'm not going to hop on this hype train saying we're going to have a solid season, because at this point, I'm still up in the air about how this season is going to go. But we're not. If we lose to Carolina, that is just going to be like, I think we got a new OC in the system. I think we have the team looks like they're playing consistently. I think we win this game, and I think it's going to be close. I think I got it like 27-24 New Orleans. I think it's going to be close, but I think we edge out the win. But if we lose to Carolina in the first game of the season, I'm throwing in the bucket. I'm not going to watch this year. I can't do it. I've been through too much last year, and I won't do it again if we lose to Carolina.
Champ?
Harrison, I got your back. I'm taking the Carolina Panthers. I will never pick the Aints to win anything.
BRF Sports.
Shit. I'm glad y'all are optimistic about Carolina, because I'm not. I got New Orleans. They got to show me. I'm not optimistic about Carolina at all. I got them last in the division again. I'm not optimistic about them at all. And the only reason why I'm picking New Orleans to win this game is simply because it's in New Orleans. That's it. That's the only reason why I'm picking New Orleans. I don't trust a team like Carolina to go on the road to beat the Saints in New Orleans. I just don't trust them. I got 27-17 Saints.
All right. Hold on real quick. We want to make sure we got Grant back on stage. Let's see. Do it here. All right, there you go, Grant. All right, good. All right, BRF, I'm gonna let you go first. Steelers at Falcons, and Atlanta is a 3.5-point favorite, and we don't even know who's gonna start for Pittsburgh.
No, I think it's been announced. I think it's been announced. Justin Fields is gonna start. I think it's been announced. Yep. He's gonna start. It's been announced. He's gonna start. The way he looked in the preseason, I'd rather face him at this point. I think this is a statement game for the Falcons offensively and defensively. And trust me, the Steelers have a banger defense. So if the Falcons were to come out here and play a good game against that Steelers defense, it sets the tone for the rest of the season. I'm gonna go Atlanta. I'm gonna pick Atlanta because I feel like there's a new attitude there. There's a new belief system there with Raheem Morris as the head coach. I like the vibes that they got going on there. Then adding Matt Judon, adding Justin Simmons, basically going out and spending money this year. The fact that Arthur Smith is gone. I mean, the fact that he came out and said he had a lot to do with a lot of the roster moves they made in Atlanta. And it's like he left and it's like Sitz took over. Terry Fontenot took over, and actually you see the moves that he's been making. Grant, as a Saints fan, you had Terry Fontenot. You know he's no dummy when it comes to the front office and the moves he made. The dude is a chef in the front office. Let's just keep it a buck. So the moves that he's been making have been solid moves. I'm going to pick the Falcons in this. I think this is going to be a close game, but I think the fact that it's Justin Fields and not Russell Wilson, I think the Falcons' defensive line, I can't believe I'm going to say this, I think the pass rush might have a field day. I really do. They might. I'm thinking at least 4 or 5 sacks. pass rush might have a field day. I got the Falcons in this.
Champ.
Huh?
Your go, Champ. It's your Falcons.
Just do that dirty bird. Just do that dirty bird. Bro, let me break something down to you, man. Look, I got two things going in my favor. Justin Fields is playing. And on the other side, I got that idiot Arthur Smith calling the plays. So everything's going in my favor at this point. Now, do I have to worry about that stifling defense of Pittsburgh? Yes, I do. But I think we can put enough points up in order to overcome that. But yeah, Justin Fields is playing. And guess what? Arthur Smith, you ain't worth the salt in the bread, man. Because if you really, really think about it, like I said last night, this is the same offense that you had in Atlanta, except you don't have a Bijan Robinson. It's the same offense. You got a two-headed monster at the running back position. You have a good tight end in Big O, Dwayne Washington, straight out of UGA, and you got a good wide receiver in George Pickens. It's the same offense. There's really not a difference other than Bijan Robinson. There's not a difference. So you're just gonna go up there and you're gonna blow it. You're gonna blow that thing up too. So yeah, even if the Falcons were not my team, I would pick them over Pittsburgh right now because you know what? Like I said, Justin Fields is playing. He hasn't proven anything. He could hit the ground if you fell on it with the ball at this point. And guess what? Arthur Smith. So rise up.
If they lose, obviously you're going to throw a temper tantrum on Brandon on my show. I know that for a fact.
Oh, I'm going to crash out real hard. I'm going to crash.
Grant?
Look, I thought this game was probably the hardest one for me to pick out of the games because, look, the Steelers are coming in with Russell Wilson starting as their quarterback, and they're also having a bunch of new weapons come in to the system. But, man, Atlanta completely changed their team this offseason, and as much as I think Pittsburgh looks good, and in my honest opinion, if the Brandon Ayuk deal had worked out and he would have been there, I probably would have said Pittsburgh. But as much as I love that Pittsburgh team, I just think the Falcons team are so much better. And I think they're going to win this game, and I think they're going to win it by 2 touchdowns just because I look at that completely different Falcon team. And plus, I just want to see Champ do the dirty bird next week when they win. So I have my motivation. But
ironically, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh in this one because even though Arthur Smith and Justin Fields is there, I still have Mike Tomlin. And no matter what people may say, Mike Tomlin, we saw him work with another offensive coordinator last year who was pretty bad. Let's not forget who was the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers last year.
Matt Canada.
So Mike Tomlin, him working with Arthur Smith, not much of a difference. Maybe to a lot of people, but to Mike Tomlin, not so much. We also got to wait and see with Kirk Cousins because Kirk Cousins, he is coming off the Achilles injury. Yes, he's done his part as far as building a relationship with the players on the Atlanta Falcons team, but we got to wait and see to how this offense plays. We have to wait. We have to see this team manifest. I think that Steelers win this one. Close, tight one. I think it's going to be 19-18 Pittsburgh, about 1 point. Next game.
Wait, I didn't make my prediction yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, Harrison.
No, go. That's fine. All right. This is the message to Champ to be and BRF. I'm gonna say this right now. I said this a couple months ago. You guys, you two right here, have no excuses this year. You guys literally cannot mess this up this year. I'm just saying this right now. Champ, if you mess this up, and same thing to you, BRF, if you two don't win the division, don't talk to me. because this is the best opportunity to you guys to win the division. Also, this is the best opportunity to win a playoff game. You haven't won a playoff game probably since 2016, I think, if I'm not mistaken. 2016, right? Champ?
2017.
2017. My fault. My fault. Sorry. 2017.
Well, it's all good.
But this is your time to shine. But even though I don't like you guys, even though, Champ, I always love you, man. But like, this is just your time to shine. It's like Michael Jackson. It's your turn, right? It's your turn. So give me the ATL 20 to 17 Atlanta. But it's your time to shine, champion BRF. It's your time to shine in the South.
All right, guys. Next game. Jacksonville at Miami. Miami is a 3.5-point favorite. Who wins?
Miami.
This, man, I got to tell y'all, this game right here is, honest to God, this is my shootout pick. This is my shootout pick. I got 38-35 Miami. This is my shootout pick.
Grant?
This is going to be my last one for the night because I got a meeting in the morning. I think this game, it's absolutely, it's my pleasure. I think this game is going to be a lot more interesting than they think. I think Miami's going to win this one just for the sake of, I think, that I still look at that Miami offense and I tell myself, like, this is the team. But I think Miami wins this one. But listen, thank you, PSP, for having me on. I appreciate it. Shout out to Undisputed, BRF, Harrison, you boys. It's been real. Go follow me on all platforms. It's Grant's Glimpse all over the board. You guys have been real, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'll see y'all later. Peace out, y'all.
Take it easy, Grant. Thank you.
All right, Grant. Yep. Always a pleasure, bro.
Always a pleasure. Harrison.
BRF, you might be right on this one, Chief. It's gonna be a high scoring affair. I say, I mean, we saw Jacksonville last year. They were up to a good start last year, and then the injuries were falling into pieces like Legos. But I'm going with Miami on this one. 38-30.
All right. Raiders at Chargers, and the Chargers are 3-point favorites.
You want me to go first, or you want to go, champ?
Oh no.
Okay, I'll go first. I have a bunch of mixed bags between two structures here because we talked about this on Brandon's podcast about Herbert. This might be the make it or break it year for Herbert with Jim Harbaugh. But I like Herbert. I'm not saying I'm not the biggest Justin Herbert supporter, but I always respect the game for Justin Herbert. Here's the thing about it. What besides Liam McConkey, which I would not forget that, champ, by the way. It's just what else? It's just you got Quentin Johnson who you can't catch to save his life. It's just I don't know. He likes eating those Butterfingers for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, But and you got Palmer, who's I mean, okay, but the offensive line is gonna be solid. But the Baltimore Ravens running backs, I'm really concerned about them because they can break a leg for at least in 10 seconds, which I don't want preying on anyone's injuries. I don't want preying on anyone's downfall. But the Raiders, they're stepping into the right direction. They're literally a quarterback away to make a playoff. I don't think this year, but next year, the Raiders are going to be back into the playoffs next year. They're literally a quarterback away, like Shedeur Sanders quarterback away. I'm picking up the Chargers on this one just because it's at SoFi. The Raiders never win at SoFi whatsoever. Low scoring, high scoring. I'll say 12-13.
Ooh.
Chargers. Yeah, I know it's a shit show.
I too like the direction the Raiders are going in with Antonio Pierce as the full on head coach now. I like the direction that they're going in. I like how they played with him second half of the season. But yeah, to me, Justin Herbert is one of the 5 most talented quarterbacks in the league going right now. But it's just a matter of what has he got to work with. I mean, I do now. Don't get me wrong. As a Georgia guy, you know, I love me some Ladd McConkey, and I love the fact for him that he made enough of a statement in training camps and all that he's potentially coming into this season as the number 1 wide receiver, which is crazy considering the hype they put into Quentin Johnson, and it's just like he's already like borderline in that bust territory, and that's like, ugh, and that's kind of saying something. I'm gonna go Chargers. I'm gonna go 23-20 Chargers.
Champ.
Los Angeles. I think Harbaugh wins his debut.
All right. Let's go to the next game right here. Broncos at Seahawks. Seahawks are 6-point favorites.
I'll go first. I'm going Seattle here because Seattle in their building. It's almost like playing like a really, really good college football team as far as like their fans, as far as like the atmosphere it creates. They get loud and they get rowdy. Like they're not called the 12th man for nothing. Their fans are insane. But just I know people are still kind of like they don't know what to think as far as like Geno Smith being the quarterback there or whatnot. But hey, I love me some DK Metcalf. I love me some Tyler Lockett. And I love me some Jackson Smith and Jigba. That boy is going to be a monster for years to come, which is why, because I ultimately think, even though I love me some Tyler Lockett, I think JSN is going to be wide receiver 2 for Seattle, like as the season progresses, because I think he's got that kind of ability for them. Bo Nix was impressive in the preseason, but I feel like, Courtland Sutton is still there. I think they still. Is Javonte Williams still there?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they still got. They still got Javonte Williams. They just locked up Patrick Surtain. 4 years, $96 million. They just locked him up. One of the preeminent best corners in the league. They locked him up, but I don't know. I still feel like Denver's got a ways to go as far as like building that roster and developing that talent there. And I feel like Seattle's got just enough here to get it done. I got 21-17 Seattle here.
Champ?
Seattle. Shout out to Brandon from the block.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Brandon from the block. Die-hard Seattle Seahawks fan. Definitely. And he's also an Oregon fan. He's going to see Bo Nix start. So, hoping and wishing Brandon the best as far as with Bo Nix and the Seattle Seahawks. Harrison.
PSP.
Yes.
I'm going with the opposite of these two dirty birds over here. I'm picking Denver. I think that Bo Nix is ready to go this year. I think seeing him at the preseason against the Colts, he was sharp. He is lock and load. He's ready to go. Even though he doesn't have the best weapons in the world, but I feel like the Broncos, I think with Courtland Sutton, and also your boy, Marvin Mims from the University of what? The University of Oklahoma. I think that the dude's got some speed. He can run some great routes though. Yes. And I think that Bo Nix, I think he's going to go over 250 here. And I think that Broncos win 24-21 Denver.
Interesting. All right, for America's Game of the Week, Dallas Cowboys go on the road to the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are 2.5-point favorites. Harrison, who wins that game?
Damn. But this is also, by the way, this is also Tom Brady's first announcing.
Yes, also as well. I forgot about that as well.
Yeah, no
Tom
problem.
Brady's first game.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. I know they don't have Nick Chubb this season. Well, for the first 4 games. Sorry, for the first 4 games. I don't trust. I mean, you guys be the same thing here. Same thing. I don't trust Watson. I don't trust him. But they have that running back from the second running back, Isaiah Ford, right? Jerome Ford. Sorry, my fault. But I think he's good, but like he's not like Nick Chubb. You know what I'm saying? But like I still think it's a battle of the defense, but it depends on which offense is going to step up. I think it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys are going to step up against the Cleveland Browns at Cleveland. Give me the Dallas Cowboys 14-10.
BRF?
I'm gonna go with the Cleveland Browns here, just on the standpoint of I love the Cleveland Browns defense, and I think they're gonna give Dak Prescott. I think they're gonna give Dak Prescott fits because he isn't necessarily the greatest road quarterback, particularly in games like this, going to a place like Cleveland, even though it's not cold yet. He's not. For me, he hasn't always been the greatest road quarterback, and having to travel and having to play against these really, really good defenses who know how to pressure, who know how to blitz, who know how to create turnovers, create havoc. This road games like this haven't always been the best environment for him, and I get it. This is a make or break year for Deshaun Watson, and I know a lot of us don't trust him, but I think Jerome Ford showed enough last year with Nick Chubb being out that he can do it. That he can be a good running back for Cleveland. Amari Cooper is still that guy. He's still a good player. David Njoku finally broke out and became the talent that a lot of us thought he could be. Njoku finally became that guy at tight end. And like I said, you can't go wrong with that Cleveland Browns defense. I mean, Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett. I mean, you can't go wrong with that defense. I'm going to go. Ooh, Lord, this might be a little outrageous, but I'm going 24-14 Cleveland.
Champ.
Mom, this one's for you. Dallas. I don't trust Deshaun Watson.
W-man.
I don't trust him.
You too.
I don't trust him about as far as I could throw him. And I think the best that he ever looked was that last drive right before he got hurt. It's the best he looked. And people can talk about numbers or whatever, but I have an old saying, you gonna believe me or your lying old eyes. My eyes tell me a different story than what the stats are saying. And I just do not trust Deshaun Watson. Until you show me otherwise, that you are back to being the elite quarterback that I saw in the city of Houston, I don't trust you. And when I don't trust you, it's going to come down. If it comes down to him and Dak at this point, I do stress at this point, it's going to be Dak every time. So I think that Dak overcomes this defense.
I got Dallas winning this one, but I don't think it's going to be like a blowout. I do think Dak will struggle, but in the end, I think Deshaun Watson will be worse. And I just think if you told me if I had Nick Chubb with Jerome Ford, I would feel a lot better if I was a Cleveland Browns fan, but I'm going to go with Dallas. Next one, Sunday Night Football. Rematch of the wild card game. The Los Angeles Rams against the Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford going back to Detroit. Matthew Stafford, UGA, former number 1 overall pick in that 2009 NFL draft. I was actually at that draft in Radio City Music Hall. The Lions are a 4.5-point favorites. ERF, you go first. Who wins?
I mean, I'm going with the Detroit Lions here. I'm going with the momentum of making it to the NFC Championship game last year. I mean, you basically brought pretty much the entire team back to give this another go. I mean, come on, man. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, one of the best running back duos in the league. Aiden Hutchinson's already blossoming into one of the best defensive ends in the league. I mean, your wide receiver, your offense. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. I think Jameson Williams should be coming into this season as the number 2. I think he's the X factor for this offense because if Jameson Williams is healthy, champ, we know what he did at Alabama when he was healthy. When Jameson Williams is healthy, they think Amon-Ra St. Brown is scary. If Jameson Williams is healthy, he might be scarier than Amon-Ra St. Brown because he does everything Amon-Ra St. Brown does bigger and faster. So I'm going to go Detroit because I think the home crowd here really gives them an edge too. But I do think it's going to be a barn burner because Matthew Stafford coming back to Detroit. You know he's going to want to show out for the ex-home crowd. You know he's going to ball out. I love what they have on offense there with Kyren Williams and Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. You got to love what they got going on there, and also drafting Blake Corum to go along with Kyren Williams as well. That's going to be nasty. But I'm gonna go 28. I'm gonna go 28-24 Detroit Lions in this one.
Champ.
I'm going with gotta go with the Rams on this one. And I think that two-headed monster that they potentially have is going to overcome that Detroit defense. Still think they have some holes in that secondary as far as Detroit is concerned. They have some holes in that secondary. And if Puka and Cooper come out guns are blazing, knives out, like I know they can, they will expose that secondary. And hey, Sean McVay, people forget, man, look, Sean McVay for as bad as they started the first half of the season, the second half of the season, the Rams were on a roll. And that was without Cooper Kupp. So I got to go with Cooper Kupp and the St. Louis, the Los Angeles Rams at this point. I think they take it.
Harrison?
Oh man, this is the rematch from last year of the wild card. I was talking to a Rams fan. She's like a best friend of mine. And we've been going back and forth for the past couple months with this. I'm picking the way. Man, dude, I'm just stuck between a rock and a hard place because this is going to be a close game. It's at home, but at the same time, Stafford wants revenge. The same time is Jared Goff overrated? Champ, I gotta ask you that question.
No. My thing is he got left for dead in Detroit, and that's just what it was. They thought that he was not going to do anything in Detroit. He had a pretty decent season his first couple of years. They finally got some talent out there. He was able to get them to an NFC championship. Not to mention, people don't understand this, man. Look, he got them to a Super Bowl when he was at the Rams. He's been to a Super Bowl.
Yes.
Say whatever you want to about game manager, stuff like that. But when someone gets you to a Super Bowl and an NFC championship, hey, he is a serviceable quarterback and he's a good quarterback, especially for an organization who hadn't had one, who they was lucky to be able to transition from a Matthew Stafford into a Jared Goff. They was lucky to be able to do that because in the past they were not able to do that. I'm old enough to hit this to remember when they transitioned from Rodney Peete to Andre Ware, and then back from Andre Ware to Rodney Peete, and then they had what's the guy's name? David Craig, who had the bum shoulder. Then they had Scott Mitchell. I mean, it was just a revolving door of quarterbacks at a certain point. Not to mention Darren Orlovsky and himself running out the back of that end zone like he did. It was ugly. It was uglier than the Masterpiece sneakers.
So back what I was saying. But I feel you guys need to watch out for Jordan. I think Jordan Whitington from the rookie from Texas. That dude's gonna be something special. I think he might be a wide receiver 3 because it's last year it was Puka Nacua, but I think this year it's gonna be Jordan Whitington. It's gonna be not like breaking records or anything, but I feel like this wide receiver is gonna be really solid for the Rams. But man, but Kyron Williams, Brayton Fisk, man, I'm sorry, but you know what? It's at home. The way the Lions did last year was absolutely unbelievable. Underdog story came up just short. I think they might go back, but I'm going with the Lions on this one. Close. It's like Isaiah Likely, close, like an inch, 28-27, Lions.
I got the Rams winning this one, and I got the Rams. I think, to Champ's point, the running back duo. How is Detroit going to handle Kieran Williams and Blake Corum? Stafford, as long as he stays healthy, as well as with Cooper Kupp, I do think that fan base is going to be out there. But I think Sean McVay, he's going to come up with something. He's going to come up with some brilliant play call. And I think in the end, ultimately, the Rams are going to get the job done. And all right, fellas, one last pick. We got to make it real quick. Jets, 49ers. The 49ers are a 4.5-point favorite. Aaron Rodgers making his first return. Obviously, we all know last year he injured himself in the Monday Night Football game against the Buffalo Bills after 4 plays. Champ, how does Aaron Rodgers will look in this game, and who do you have winning?
You know what? I gotta see. I have to see. I'm trying not to go on a little rant because Aaron Rodgers hasn't shown me very much of a lot of dedication this offseason as far as being in camp, being around his teammate. He's still being a little diva at this point. So I don't have any faith right about now. I'm not optimistic about what I'm seeing. So on that note, I have to go with the 49ers, the best team that money can buy in the NFL.
BRF?
I said last night on Champ's podcast, maybe a bit of a hot take, but I mean, there's kind of realism to it. I think Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers as a player and coach are on the hot seat this year because that front office just took these New York Jets from one of the laughing stocks of the NFL to a dark horse Super Bowl contender, which I think is ridiculous and crazy. But there are analysts that have picked them to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, which is crazy considering where they were last year, 2 years ago. It's crazy. But oh gosh, I hate it for Aaron Rodgers because I don't know if this might not necessarily be the game or the environment you want to come back to. These are the San Francisco 49ers, a team that's probably going to come in here pretty ticked off about how the Super Bowl is going. They've made it to the Super Bowl twice last 3 years. Both times they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, both in heartbreaking fashion. So San Francisco might be coming in here pretty ticked off, ready to rip some heads off. So I think San Francisco might blow the doors off of this game, and they might run the New York Jets out the building. I got 35-21 San Francisco here. They might run the Jets out the building.
Harrison?
BRF, I say the exact same thing. I mean, that's the number one question mark, too. I don't know if Robert Flores is going to be on the hot seat this year as well, but I mean, I don't know, but we got to see this year. But I have like 2 Jets fans on TikTok, man. She thinks that the Jets are going to go 11-6 this year, which that's really, yes, your face PSP is like my face. It's really like concerning because we like what Champ said.
How much tequila she was on?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I think I picked it. Honestly, I think I did pick the Jets to win the division too. So maybe we all a little crazy. But I like it. But with the Jets, I just love their defense. What it is.
Well, yeah. I know. Listen,
not just their defense, the other skilled weapons that they have too, with Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall and stuff.
Yeah, when I just saw 11-6, I felt like I'm about to take a drink right now, because that's a bit. Bro, I'm saying this right now. The AFC East is like big question marks this year. Well, besides the Patriots, because we know the Patriots are going to be absolutely dog shit this year. We don't know if Rodgers is going to stay healthy this year. We don't know if the Dolphins actually can win the division and make the playoffs. And also, we don't know about the Bills, but even though we can't doubt Josh Allen, though, that's the thing about it. But back to this game between the Niners and the Jets. I'm like Champ said, I am concerned about Rodgers this year. We don't know. The Jets are just the most unlucky team in the NFL. Like last year, they won 7 games with Zach. Okay, I'm not gonna say it. Zach Wilson, Zach freaking Wilson, who actually, you know what? Speaking of Zach Wilson, he always played amazingly well against the Cardinals in the last game of the preseason game. I don't know if you guys saw that on CBS or not. But, man, Zach Wilson had a great game against the last game of the preseason game. But back to this game. I don't know. I'm concerned about CMC. I'm concerned about Rodgers. Listen, I don't hate Brock Purdy whatsoever. I think he's a solid quarterback, a top 15 quarterback. I don't think he will never be a top 10 quarterback. Ever. In my opinion. The thing about it, the Ayuk situation, it's finally over now. I'm sorry. I'm just bunch of mixed bags. I'm picking San Francisco because it's at home. I think CMC might be playing in this game, but I'm concerned about his health because he's now been injury prone since 2020. It's been going on for 4 years, which I don't want anyone to hurt the Panthers legend CMC. But give me San Francisco, close game, 25-20. But if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt in this game, 49ers are blowing it out the doors. Like push them up. The 49ers are making that thing to 40. It'll be like 42-10.
All right, guys. We got last 2 topics. Let's try to hurry up as much as possible because I know y'all want to enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. Wrestling. Harrison, you don't have to get yourself involved in this competition.
It's okay. I'm going to bed. I appreciate you, PSP. Appreciate you, Champ, BRF.
Yes, sir.
Love. Panthers on top. You know it. Hopefully we win. Hope those Dirty Birds lose. So, love you guys.
Always a pleasure. Love you too, Harrison. Always a pleasure having Harrison on the podcast. Please make sure you like and subscribe to his Instagram and also his TikTok and other social media platforms he's on, guys. But wrestling, guys, let's try to hurry up and get this done as quick as possible. Favorite Goldberg moment? I picked Goldberg out because obviously, where did he go to school? Where did he play college football at?
UGA.
There you go. I will go first. Other than him beating Hulk Hogan at the Georgia Dome, which it was great because I watched WWE Legends and how he celebrated with his former teammates. I gotta say when he came to the WWE in 2003, him versus The Rock in Backlash. And then when he made his appearance and then he speared the hell out of The Rock. That to me, and also the Elimination Chamber match. Remember when he speared Chris Jericho in the Elimination Chamber?
Yes.
That was a beautiful sight.
He broke the glass on Triple H.
Yeah. That was monstrous.
What's your favorite moments from the great Bill Goldberg?
I'll go first. I stand on business when I said Goldberg should have won the World Heavyweight Championship in that Elimination Chamber. I stand on business on that because Goldberg was never more hotter, was never more over. And Triple H just was like, yeah, no, we're not losing. I'm just like, what are you doing? He finally wins the World Heavyweight Championship. Nobody cares. And it pisses me off to this day. But I digress. I have a couple that stand out. His return back, what was it, 2016, and that build up to that Survivor Series match with Brock Lesnar and the match itself, because I love the unpredictability of it because nobody saw that coming. But I think reports was they were short on time, so they changed it up. Kudos to Brock for being willing to eat that. Kudos to Brock for being willing to eat that, because I don't know how many dudes would have been willing to eat that. And he ate that like a champ to get Goldberg squashing Brock Lesnar. And folks got to understand, this is still final boss, destroying everybody, Brock Lesnar. And Goldberg just beat him in like a minute and some odd second. A minute 20 some. Yeah, thank you. Like, kudos to Brock for eating that like a champ on that. But honestly, I'm gonna just keep it a bug. My favorite Goldberg memory is the streak. It's just flat out. It's the streak, because I feel like, I think if you look at a lot of wrestlers and you look at their highlight reels of like their greatest moves, their greatest matches, just greatest moments, I feel like one of the greatest highlight reels you will ever see on YouTube are some of the spears from Goldberg's streak. Really like his WCW days, period. But some of the spears he hit on these poor, lonely souls during this streak. I felt so bad for some of these dudes. Some of the spears he hit on some of these bros, like literally folding these men like accordions, like just rough. And just, I think Goldberg has one of the greatest highlight reels like ever. Like if you look at the streak and even after the streak, like one of my favorite spears I ever seen him hit was a match. It was a match on WCW Thunder against Kiwi. And Homeboy came out the gates and he just throwing bombs. So Homeboy decides he's gonna try to hit a springboard, I guess, cross body on Goldberg, and Goldberg just says, "Nah, I'm just gonna spear you out of the air." So, just for me, honestly, it's the streak and just how organic it was, and the build to him winning the United States Championship against Raven, to winning the World Heavyweight title against Hollywood Hogan. Just that whole 173 match win streak, I feel is my favorite because it was how they did it. WCW, like in the late 90s, didn't get a lot right. They got that right. So I give them they didn't get the ending. They didn't get how it ended right. But the way they built up Goldberg and made him a superstar, they got him right. So kudos to them for that. So yeah, for me, my favorite Goldberg moment is definitely the streak.
Champ?
I'll be quick, man. Look, the best Goldberg moment had to be at Road Wild 1998 when he jackhammered the Big Show back then, who was named the Giant. When they had that little small battle royal there. And back then, it wasn't like the Big Show is now. Big Show kind of stubby a little bit now. Back then, Big Show was, he was in the prime shape of his career. And for you to lift up, and he held him up in the air for a long time. For you to get up the Giant and get him up in a jackhammer like that, that was nothing short of amazing, man. Got to include that match against Hollywood Hogan. But I think one of his more underrated matches was him and DDP in Halloween Havoc. I think that was one of his better matches. I think when you look back on his career, that will be one that stands out. It wasn't a lot of good matches that you would say it was not one of those knockdown, drag out situations. But I say one of his better matches was Halloween Havoc. That was one of the last pay-per-views I ordered from WCW.
Great ones. Oh, I also love the monster truck one that Goldberg drove, and then he demolished. Who were the wrestlers' car that he destroyed when he was driving the monster truck?
Rest in peace, Sid Vicious.
Vicious.
That was good, though. That was good.
And Sid Vicious provided one of the greatest scenes of acting I've ever seen out of a wrestler in my life.
He did. Last one, guys. Favorite Alicia Keys song. Champion, go first.
You know what, man? I gotta say, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. My Boo. I cannot tell you how many. I mean, I think I was back in high school when I was when that came out. So I can't tell you how many letters I tried to write. Because back then we used to write the letters and stuff like that. This the song, and My Boo was kind of that was one of the good ones, man. That was a nice one, man, for her and Usher to kind of team up on that. That was nothing short of amazing. That was good, man. My Boo, because like I said, back then, before DMs, you had to write that letter, so that was good. Another one would be New York.
With Jay-Z?
Yeah, the streets will make you feel brand new. The lights will inspire you.
Ooh, and, quick live update from this game. Jordan Love is hurt.
Yeah, I'm watching it. I just didn't want to say anything because we're trying to get the signal.
Right, I hear
you.
Yeah. All right, BRF.
Favorite Alicia Keys song for me. I'll make it quick. For me, my favorite song of hers of all time is "Unthinkable." I love that song. I love it. I love it. I love everything there is about that song. For me, it's "Unthinkable." I love that song. That is my favorite song that she's ever done.
My 3 favorite from Alicia Keys: "Unthinkable" is one. "Diary" with Tony Tone. Love that track. And also another great one, "You Don't Know My Name."
Oh, yes.
Alicia Keys, not only a great singer, songwriter, she can play the piano. She can do it all, man. I mean, she's versatile and does great music. Love her music, man. And let's not forget her song "Fallen." That was a hell of a track too, though. So, shout outs to the great Alicia Keys. And folks, that concludes the rest of the Sports PSP podcast. Any final words, fellas? And tell them where to follow y'all at.
If I could go first, I would be remiss if I didn't send my thoughts, my prayers, and my love to Apache High School down here in the state of Georgia. One of the more heartbreaking tragedies of this week. Our thoughts and prayers go with their family and with everyone who was a victim of that tragedy, to put it cleanly. A very, very big tragedy, and it's right here in our backyards when we talk about BRF and myself. So thoughts, prayers, and sending all our love to Apache High. We love you, we care, and we will rally behind you.
Beautifully said. BRF.
Yeah, I mean, basically ditto to what Champ said. Like, honestly, this week just hadn't been a good week in GA because not only did we have the Appalachian High School shooting in Winder, Barrow County. Yeah, definitely prayers and condolences their way because, I mean, it's a shame. School's supposed to be a safe haven, and it's becoming like as much of a dangerous place to be as some of these real dangerous areas to live in, and it's a shame, and it shouldn't be like that. But not only that, but prayers and condolences to the family of Rich Homie Quan. It just hasn't been it ain't been a great week in Georgia, period. And like they say, like death happens in threes. Like shout out to Houston. First it was Beat King, And then shout out to up north. It was Fat Man Scoop, and now it's Rich Homie Quan. I mean, like death happens at 3, so definitely sending prayers and condolences to family and friends to all 3 of those brothers. But to end this on a lighter note, PSP is always a pleasure and a privilege to be on this, sharing this platform with you and the homie Champ. I mean, it's always fun times. It's always fun times to enjoy something like this, to enjoy this platform and continue to build and continue to strive for bigger and better things. Shout out to you for getting 15K. I mean, you deserve all your success. So I'm gonna just leave it with my slogan, and that is a topic not thought about, is a topic not talked about. So we just gonna keep rolling. Shout out to you boys, and I'm just here for the ride. I'm just enjoying it.
Yes. Thoughts and prayers go out to the tragedies that transpired in Georgia. It's just really sad. I really didn't want to talk about it, but I'm actually glad y'all mentioned it. It's just really unfortunate because you would like to think of all places for children to be safe, school would be one of them. And it's just getting crazier as it goes on, man. But I don't know what to say. There has to be change, and there needs to be change, and it's just crazy. But just again, hearts and condolences just goes to the families. It's just really unfortunate and should never happen. And I don't know what's gonna happen next, but I just hope. I'm sorry, guys. It's just really really uncomfortable. It's because of everything that's transpiring, but it's just really sad because of all places, school.
Yeah, and I will throw this out there as well. And this needs to happen more from the standpoint of the parent of the kid, the Colt Gray, the 14-year-old shooter. Colin Gray, his dad, was arrested, and he's facing up to 180 years in prison for basically buying him the gun. And I feel like with some of these cases, stuff like this happens more. People will think twice about buying stuff like that for their kids. And he bought the gun in last year when there were threats, like when stuff was coming out about him, like when the threat was real, he went and bought him one anyway. So let's hope this actually teaches some of these people not to do something stupid like that.
And hopefully the schools will do a better job as far as beefing up security. And who knows, like they were having discuss about metal detectors or stuffing like that, anything to protect our kids. I mean, we just don't want to hear any more of these shootings because it's just getting ridiculous. I mean, a couple years ago, let's not forget what happened with Uvalde in Texas. And, I mean,
my gosh,
it's just really unfortunate, and there's no need. And oh my God, it's just crazy. But again, guys, thank y'all for coming on the show. Undisputed World Champ. Appreciate Undisputed World Champ. Follow him, IG, TikTok, YouTube. Also, go follow BRF Sports. Appreciate the other guys for coming on the show. Of course, Grant, as you know, go follow him. Go follow Harrison. Appreciate a lot of great contributors. As y'all mentioned, over 15,000, and we still out here grinding. We still have a lot more to go, and we're gonna try to hit 20K hopefully by the end of this year, and we're gonna continue to do great things. And thank you to everyone who has contributed to the Sports PSP podcast. Y'all know where to follow me at, folks. The Sports PSP. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as IG Sports PSP and TikTok Sports PSP3. Fellas, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. People at home, thank y'all for tuning in and watching the podcast. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy some football. If you are drinking, please drink responsibly. And also enjoy time with friends, food, and family. Be easy. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. and peace.
From the